Hey there, good morning. Hope your Wednesday morning's off to a good start. Bill Gunter, Tim Hill, Jen Jensen with you. Zeb Nolan going to start for the Gamecocks just a few minutes after that news came down, not too long after our show ended yesterday. Bill, it was Cam Newton cut by the Patriots. Whew, what a pre-11 a.m. it was yesterday, and then we got to hear Shane Beamer explain exactly why. We got to hear from Jason Brown about how he kind of digested the news. Notable day for Gamecock football for sure. I saw you on Twitter saying, and then say what you want about this thing, but not many people would be talking about Gamecock football if a graduate assistant wasn't going to be the starting quarterback, and it was just Shane Beamer's debut against a bad Eastern Illinois team, and at least Carolina football is being discussed. I saw, pardon the interruption, I guess Zeb Nolan made yesterday, and one of the headline stories as we sit here this morning for college football on ESPN.com.
Yeah, it might be a little misinformed. It might be it might be a lazy take at time, but you're seeing South Carolina for no reason whatsoever, because there's really no reason a 2-8 football team with a brand new head coach playing one of the worst FCS teams in that division should be discussed. I guess, or popping up, like you said, on Pardon the Interruption, or on the front page of ESPN, or have Dennis Dodd or Pat Forty writing articles and tweeting about you. No reason, right? So this is one of the scenarios where it's any publicity is good publicity, because now at least everybody's going to be. I'm not saying that all these people are going to be tuning in. They're going to be locating the ESPN Network Plus, but everybody at least check the box score, right? To see how Zeb Nolan does. To probably just because of the. I mean, I think I've been trying to. I think Shane said it best yesterday. It's not Uncle Rico, but then I think somebody else. I think it might have been Jay Phillips, was like, the misconception is that this guy's a 32-year-old guy who's been married with kids and has just been wandering the hall. And it wasn't that Shane went to the Budweiser plant. It's that Shane just wandered down the hall and said, "All right, who's got a year of eligibility left?" Maybe they checked into Connor Shaw's, and turned out he didn't have any, but here was Zeb Nolan, and that's where we got our quarterback for. So maybe a little bit of, I think the PFF article yesterday said assistant coach turned quarterback was the article, I believe, or the headline for the article. So is what it is with the national media. Look, we'll see how it goes. That's all you can do. You got your quarterback named. Now you move forward with that. Again, it's an opponent that we'll look here this morning and see if the line has moved at all on the Action Network, which was Brett McMurphy. I think, Tim, is what I meant to tell you. He's the one that's kind of been promoting this thing. So if you think it's just a random Brett McMurphy, someone who I at least put a little bit of stock into, and so it's not just some random guy out there, mentioning Action Network, but I guess it is a website you can put some trust in. So we'll see this morning if they've still got their line at 43.5, or if it's now moved.
Yeah, I think this is the one that Brent Musburger basically is behind in the whole deal.
Okay.
Sports Network out there in Vegas. His friends in the desert. So what do you make of the situation? To me, this is a great exercise in how college football is still covered today. I feel like 20 years ago, you remember the name Joe Shad? Remember that? When he was ESPN's college football guy? I used to feel so bad for him. This was before websites were all over the place for every school for 24/7 or Rival, the whole thing. And he had to go on ESPN, and I feel like any fan base at that point would be like, "Oh, this guy doesn't know nearly as much as we know," because he's covering. There are 130 teams in Division I college football, and he's covered 65 of them at least, maybe 75, 85 of them that are notable. Even 20 years later, even with all the information out there, this is a great exercise of the Zeb Nolan news hitting yesterday of how easy it is to be not misinformed, but very little informed. I think I saw Kev Roche. That was Preston Thorns and Langston Moore's buddy, who illustrated their children's books, say, "Oh, apparently not everyone has been tuning into the day in and day out practice reports from preseason practice from Gamecock football across the country. And it also shows you too how you can highlight or inflate a story one way or another to try to make it a little bit more sensational, or just to do with it what you would. That's what I'm getting from this, because the fact is that Zeb played in a football game a lot more recently than anybody else on the South Carolina roster played for North Dakota State. And now, after a couple of months as being the GA, back on the football field and starting quarterback for South Carolina. Now, there's that, and then there is, what does that mean for the South Carolina football program? To me, I think it's pretty obvious. It was a program in transition, and it didn't have much quarterback depth. And now one injury has caused a guy who lost the job at North Dakota State become your starting quarterback. And to me, the fact this is happening for the second straight year, I mentioned it several days ago, last week maybe, it felt like deja vu all over again when Wes Mitchell was kind of reporting that Zeb Nolan was a legit candidate to start. And Colin Hill kind of came out of nowhere in a lot of people's minds, a lot of Gamecock fans' minds last year with Mike Bobo, and took the job from Ryan Helinski. It has been a fascinating couple of preseason practices for Gamecock football, 2 in a row, where a guy from the outside kind of comes in and gets the nod as starting quarterback. This year, a little different because of the injury, Bill, as opposed to last year where Ryan Helinski just flat got beat out by Colin Hill, and Mike Bobo came in with that quarterback from a previous stop. And this one, I mean, how many Gamecock fans would have checked the box familiar with Zeb Nolan? I feel like I had to introduce him several times when I played golf with him about a month ago at that Birdies with Beamer thing, just to have any familiarity with Gamecock fans out there at all. It's crazy to me, and I am wildly interested to see how it ends up working out. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you. There's a part of me that, look, I'm just excited to get back to the stadium. I'm excited to get back. Really, let's just start with tomorrow night and college football as we know it, with fans there and the bands and the cheerleaders and the pageantry and everything that kind of comes along with it. And that all kind of leads me to Saturday, and just, you know, if you're a Clemson fan, just simply being excited for Clemson and Georgia. If you're a South Carolina fan, excited to go back and be able to tailgate and go in the stadium and just do everything. Because, Tim, I think I would be, if South Carolina was playing East Carolina this week, and we kind of talked about this, we're playing Troy this week, we're playing a different opponent, I'd probably take this story a little bit more seriously. I will say this, if we get to next week and it's next Tuesday and Shane Beamer has his press conference, like, yeah, right now it looks like Zeb Nolan's going to be the starter, and you know, at least we'll have seen Zeb Nolan and Jason Brown, because Jason Brown meeting yesterday saying he'll play. You know, the fact that we will have seen both of them, you will at least have something to go on. But if this was a different type of opener, I'd probably be a little bit less cynical about it. Maybe I'd be more in tune with it. I think the fact that it's basically an exhibition game that South Carolina should win with its running game has me just going, I don't care. Whoever they put out there, it really doesn't matter. Luke Doty's expected back next week against East Carolina. That's when the season really, really gets going. This Saturday to me is more about just getting back to the normal, getting back to going and having people sitting around me in the stands and being able to high five my buddy Scat, who sits behind us at the game, and being able to take my kids and just everything that goes along with college football. That's what this weekend is about to me. It's not so much about South Carolina winning, because they're 42-point favorites as I look at the Action Sports Network. They were 43.5-point favorites without having named a starting quarterback. If South Carolina struggles in this game, there are bigger problems ahead. This one to me is more about just getting back to college football than who is actually playing some of the positions. There's certain players I want to see. Zeb Nolan, add him to the list now, just for it'll be fun, but the bottom line is I don't take this story as seriously as some do when it's all come out, because I still think Luke Doty's back next week, and that South Carolina football is where it should have been, with Luke Doty as the starting quarterback trying to find a way to 6 wins.
The injury update from Shane Beamer at his weekly press conference yesterday was that Luke Doty was back in tennis shoes out there, kind of walking around with the quarterbacks. That was it. So he's out of the boot and then walking around in tennis shoes. And other than that, not sure. He says he's hopeful that the progress will continue and could be available for next week. And to me, it certainly didn't sound like a slam dunk, 100% shot. And will be very interesting to keep eyes on that, to continue to hear how Shane Beamer updates the health progress of Luke Doty. And actually going to get an expert in on foot and ankle injuries. We'll have Dr. Ben Jackson joining us at 7:45 this morning in about an hour and a half from USC Palmetto Orthopedic to get any more details on that.
That interview is not going to go well because it's going to be all about me and what I'm dealing with right now. What you've just told me is we're having a personal doctor on discuss as I try to get myself healthy to wander around. That's what I'm dealing with right now. We'll see if we can throw in some knee questions as well. So I hope he realizes he's about to give a free segment, some free consultation out.
Jen does have the power of the mic there. Travis hitting us up on the Facebook live stream this morning. If we win Saturday and Nolan is successful, get Disney on the line. We will have a movie deal. I don't know if the movie deal is South Carolina, the underdog against Eastern Illinois in this game with a 42-point spread. Brett says would have been a better movie had Nolan still been wearing the number 25 jersey. Number 8 isn't quite Disney material. And making that announcement yesterday, USC did, switching from jersey number 25 to jersey number 8. Zeb Nolan will be wearing number 8 as he starts tomorrow, or Saturday, I should say.
I will say this is, you got to admit the question, the bar question for a beer or two in years to come of who was the starting quarterback for Shane Beamer in his first game ever? The answer being Zeb Nolan. I'll be interested to see how many people can, where this goes down just in the history of South Carolina with things we remember.
Not sure where Chris is going with this. If Colin Hill didn't come over last year, we would have a quarterback with 2 full years of experience. Does that mean Ryan Olinsky would still be the starting quarterback, I guess? And Luke Doty would not have been in line to take over this year? Not sure where he was out. Bill, another thing about this is that you see Clemson fans just reveling, I think, in this news. Like our buddy Jim from over in Carolina Beach says, good luck with Zeb at quarterback. The Gamecocks football program is a train wreck. Ray and Bowman saying laughing stock of the state and the SEC. It's interesting just that Clemson fans find it so noteworthy, I think, from where the Gamecock program has been. I think that's one thing that Shane Beamer has done this year and this offseason, no doubt. It's gotten Clemson fans' attention. I'm not sure where Steven's coming from here. He says, I'm in my 50s and I've heard all this before. I don't ever expect to win here except for a couple of years. What, you've heard a graduate assistant taking over as a starting quarterback days before the season opener? This is unique, Steve. This is unique. I guess maybe from an expectation standpoint or a new coach and an expectation standpoint, maybe that's where Steven was coming from. Chris would like you to ask some lower back questions for him. Your segment, Bill. Everybody's just going to use it for their own personal use. All right. Anthony, also up with us this morning on YouTube Live, video streaming portion of the show, sponsored by Buford Lending. You can catch us YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter as well. The station handles at 1075 The Game. The number is 803-404-6100. We're just getting warmed up here. Going to hear more from the best of Shane Beamer's press conference yesterday. Let you hear exactly what Jason Brown had to say about getting the disappointing news that he wasn't going to be the starting quarterback. Zeb Nolan was originally scheduled to speak yesterday, and then a class conflict came up before Shane Beamer's press conference. The same announcement was made for Jason Brown, and yet Brown did meet the podium yesterday. And so we'll be able to hear from him, let you hear from him as we roll on this morning. Love to hear from you as well, your thoughts about the news, the Cam Newton news, Bill, your first take on that. I was very surprised to see that. I know it wasn't exactly smooth sailing all the time last year, and then you had the COVID protocol issue this preseason with Cam Newton, but I didn't think Mac Jones would be the guy going into regular season game number 1 for Bill Belichick and company with the Cam Newton situation. And now the Patriots are moving on, and turning the page in a big way. I was surprised to see that yesterday. What about you?
Yes and no. I felt like I've watched way more Patriots for a person who's not a fan of the Patriots. I've watched, I guess, just because I think they had the opening 2 Thursday night games or something. I've watched a lot of Patriots preseason, and I felt like this was coming. I felt like that this is exactly what was coming for them. I can't say that I felt like it would be week one, but Mac Jones has looked really good, and the connection there with Belichick and Saban, and the research that apparently Belichick did to know if Mac Jones might be game one ready, in discussions with Saban, and just getting a feel between two friends for what they were getting with Mac Jones. The more the kind of information leaked out, my assumption, Tim, I don't think anybody ever spoke yesterday, Cam Newton or really the Patriots. My assumption is they basically went to Cam Newton and were like, look, we're going to go with Mac Jones. If you want to be on the team, we'd love to have you as a backup quarterback. If you don't want to stand over there and be a backup and you want to go try and find a starter's role somewhere or be somewhere else, we'll cut you. We'll give you a free release. I have to assume that's what happened, right? Like, you don't – I would assume that they went to Cam Newton and were like, hey, we're going to go with this kid, and, in our way of being nice to you, we're going to give you a free release. You can go find whoever you want that's willing to make you a starter or whatever situation you want, but we're going to move our organization forward and go with the future and not you. And no offense meant, we're going to give you a free release. Go do whatever you want.
That sounds like the nice and cuddly NFL. That doesn't really exist. I don't think there's any of that.
But I mean, otherwise, don't you keep him even if he's disgruntled? Don't you keep him for 3 or 4 weeks in case Mac Jones absolutely blows up? Like, I mean, isn't that and I think Cam Newton's well past his prime. I don't know what the future is. I think Cam Newton's pretty much done. I don't think that means he doesn't land on a team, but I think Cam Newton's just about done. The days of Cam Newton starting 16 games in the NFL, I think, are about over. He's 32 years old, but I think he's just worn down surgeries and everything that's occurred to his body over the years. I think he's done. I
think the Patriots recognize what everybody recognizes. Cam Newton's not a backup quarterback. Not going to have an asset to your organization as a backup. So you move on. I think it's that simple. It came down to Steve Smith or Cam Newton back in the day. And the Panthers moved out a veteran, Steve Smith, to basically make it Cam Newton's locker room. I think the Patriots made it Mac Jones' locker room by getting rid of Cam Newton. And you weren't going to keep that distraction around. And I do not think they went and explained it to him and put it as kindly as you did, Bill. I think Bill Belichick and the Patriots are known for being cold-blooded. And I think that's what happened yesterday. Newton did put something out on social media just saying, nobody needs to feel bad for me. I'm going to be fine, the whole deal. That's the only reaction I saw. And Travis wants us to know that Jacksonville did cut Pharaoh Cooper as well, the former Gamecock. Our buddy Patrick Perrette gave us the heads up and thought that's where that was going to go just from a numbers standpoint. Also, Urban Meyer looks like going to be under investigation for some of his comments yesterday, saying that the vaccination status of players did factor into his decisions for cuts. And apparently that's going to be an issue now with some of his comments, and to me kind of revealing that he's an NFL coach for the first time. Shane Beamer's comments I thought were fascinating, kind of across the board in his 30-minute press conference yesterday. Again, let you hear some of those when we come back. The irony of playing Eastern Illinois in his career opener as a head coach, I thought was really interesting and has an NFL connection as well. Plenty to get to this morning. And again, love to hear from you at 803-404-6100. You can call or text. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
All right. What time is the doctor this morning?
7:45.
Okay. All right. I'll probably use that. Let's see. Lauren's taking Ansley to school, and then Austin's doing e-learning here. So this could be entertaining. Austin will be doing the e-learning. I think I'll set him up upstairs, but he starts at about 7:30.
I hear you. Yep, we're still doing that with my 8-year-old. The 6-year-old went back for the first time in a while yesterday. Came home not happy.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll do that kind of. So he should be good. I'll go get them up here in about 30 minutes. We will see where that goes this weekend. Labor Day weekend.
Do you need those cuts typed out, or do you have them all together?
I'm good.
Okay. They are all ready.
Awesome. Let's come back with 4, please.
Yeah, that was a case where recording onto the same computer that you were that I was pulling the audio from, like couldn't get stopped in time. And yeah, so it was kind of a cluster.
Gotcha. No big deal. At least you were here on time. It's better than I do most of the time.
True. It's true.
I was actually here kind of early. Friday I'll be here probably way early just because of the big computer or whatever.
Right.
The big
Control.
changeover.
Oh, the old big computer, whatever. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep. That's a technical term.
Trey, that is true. You do not have to have ESPN Plus to get the game on Saturday night. But if you have the SEC network, it'll be good.
Yeah, it feels like they backed off of that quietly, doesn't it? Am I wrong about that? Or it feels like initially it was all ESPN Plus. We're streaming all ESPN Plus, and now it's just SEC Network Plus, which is what I think the Missouri game was on that last year because I had to watch the Missouri game through the ESPN app.
Don't know how that's all gone down. I just know that I don't have to pay more money, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, kind of. Last year we did that. We had people we watched the Missouri game on that was the first time I've ever done something like that. I mean, instead of like YouTube or DirecTV or something like that, I had to actually go into the app and pull it up. Oh, I tell you what, though, Saturday, according to the Weather Channel forecast, the high is supposed to be 85, and it's supposed to drop into the mid to low 70s around game time.
That is incredible.
Nice. Actually, we're not going back in yet.
Just kidding, guys.
Teasing. Totally. Just want to make sure you're paying attention.
So we do have some football tonight. You see this? Jacksonville State. Is it Jackson State or Jacksonville State? Shows how much I know. Versus UAB.
Guessing that's Jacksonville State.
I think it is, but I don't know. Yeah, Jackson State. Yeah. Yeah, let's go back. All right. Yeah,
Yeah, Jacksonville State. UAB 14.5-point favorite here on the Action Sports Network.
That's right. So this is. Does it tell me if it's on ESPN? Oh, it's at the Crampton Bowl.
I'm loving the Bishop Sycamore jokes out there. High school team that played IMG Academy. They're all over the place. If I was smart, I would start selling the gear.
Can I change Gamecock Will's name in the system to Sad Will?
No, we definitely need to talk about that, though. That's a great text.
The guy's always so that he is. I don't understand who put Gamecock Will in there, though. He's not.
He probably asked to be put that. 40.5 I'm seeing from which two services here?
There we go.
And what does that even say? I can't even read it. Other sports book.
Right, we're in.
You're in.
Yeah, I had to reset the whole, reboot the whole Wi-Fi router.
You know what? It's just dawned on me that you're right. Even though you told us, I saw the door in the background yesterday, and I thought you were just sort of in a different room in your house. And I thought your dad was just down because you talked about. Now I realize you're not in town.
Right.
Nope.
It took me time. All right, number 4 coming straight in.
He hasn't played a football game in 2 or 3 years, and he was walking up and down the halls like Uncle Rico, talking about what he did back in the day as a quarterback. He played quarterback a couple months ago. He's been 3 months ago. He's been a graduate assistant coach since June. So like I told you guys, when we activated him to our roster, he's played in a college football game a hell of a lot more recently than anyone on our team. Is it a little bit unique? Yes, but it wasn't, like I said, that he played he played a few months ago. He's been a coach for basically 2 months as a graduate assistant.
Shane Beamer yesterday at his weekly press conference, part of his comments about Zeb Nolan as his starting quarterback. Bill, I think we learned a lot about how Shane Beamer is going to handle situations like this. The news, as I saw it, popped out not too long after our show was done from Chris Lowe on ESPN. Is that how you saw it released originally?
That's what was, somebody sent me a text message because I hate to say it, I didn't know Chris Lowe was still with ESPN. But yeah, somebody sent me a text message, and honestly, I feel like they gave him the very quick heads up on here's what we're going to do, because and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe your timeline is a little bit different than mine. Almost as soon as I went to see it is when the depth chart had popped up.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like he reported it, and then within 3 to 4 minutes, South Carolina released a depth chart. So it was almost like hey, go ahead and report this. We're releasing the depth chart within 2 minutes.
Well, yeah, they knew the news would get out there, and the national news was given to Chris Lowe, and that's how it got out yesterday. And this was before the players were set to speak, right? But it goes down. We can kind of piece it together that Jason Brown said that Shane Beamer met with him on Monday to tell him. So we talked about this yesterday, guys. How would Shane Beamer handle this? We've seen it handled in the past where the team knows, but nothing is put out publicly. Patrick, I think you were kind of the mindset that you wouldn't be surprised if there were just oars on the depth chart, a lot like the running back position, right? It's Zaquandre White or Kevin Harris or Marshawn Lloyd or Juju McDowell at running back for the Gamecocks on their depth chart. Certainly could have been done this way at quarterback as well. And to me, then the drama unnecessarily would continue going to game day from the fan perspective and the outside noise anyway. Now you get the national story out there. Zeb Nolan is part of Pardon the Interruption yesterday. It's one of the headline stories in college football. But by the time Saturday hits, it'll be a bit of a footnote. And I think certainly the story around the Gamecock football team, it would be relatively old news, and you move forward with your quarterback, and you already switched his number from 25 to 8, which I know was a big deal to you, Patrick, that you had to see a relatively normal quarterback number, and now you're good to go with Zeb Nolan starting at quarterback. Where's your thought process?
Well, if they didn't put him on the roster at number 25, I would have felt a lot better from the beginning. That was one of the key reasons that I didn't think it would happen. You can't have a quarterback out there number 25. He's got to look good. He's got to look professional. He's got to look like a leader. You can't lead with the number 25 under center.
And why
so
not?
No, it's just a bad look. It's just a bad look. You look good, you play good, and 25 does not look good. But 8, eight is a powerful number. If he had done that from the very beginning, I would have felt a lot differently. But I don't think it's going to go away on Saturday, though. Like they'll probably do a whole segment on a game day about this, won't they?
They might, but I think there are plenty of enough big games. I think I've seen the most ranked opponents versus ranked opponents in game number 1 in several years. There is plenty of storylines across the country. It'll be interesting to see where this fits in on Saturday. Maybe if South Carolina was playing East Carolina, Bill, I would say automatically, oh, for sure. But because they're playing Eastern Illinois, the spread being what it is, I'm going to doubt it, Patrick. I'm going to go a little skeptical on that one. Some of you guys are skeptical about this news. Gamecock Will says, tell me how I'm supposed to be excited when the upstate school gets 4 and 5 blue star recruits, blue chip recruits, 4 and 5 star recruits, they're blue chippers, and the school I support gets a second string backup from North Dakota State. Well,
You're not supposed to be excited.
if
Just sit there.
if we have to
Frowny
tell
face.
you how you're supposed to be excited, then I think
Depressed.
your fandom might be broken.
I would have a cup of coffee and just stare at the floor, just sadly, all day. If you got a boss, call the boss and say, "I'm not coming to work. I'm depressed." That's what I would do.
But also, if you're going to compare everything to the upstate school at this point with your football program, how many 97% of programs across the country are going to be struggling for sure. To me, I think you can go the other way here, man. It's easy story to pull for, isn't it? I mean, this guy thought his career was over. It didn't work out at Iowa State. It didn't work out at North Dakota State. He was ready to move on, get into coaching. You heard from Iowa State coach yesterday. He was basically saying what you would expect a coach to say. That he's happy for the guy, happy for Zeb Nolan. He's a Zeb Nolan fan, and sure he'll do a good job in the whole thing. RL says, my question is why Nolan went into coaching with a year of eligibility left, perhaps saw an opportunity he needed to follow, and that year of eligibility was from the free COVID year. Well, he's 24 years old. It didn't work out at North Dakota State after his second school towards the end of the season there. He started 7 games, but didn't start at the end. And so you don't stick around North Dakota unless you know you got a good opportunity to play. To me, that, and if you have an opportunity to jump on with a new coaching staff in the SEC and move forward with your life, you do that. That's kind of the gist I got from Zeb Nolan when I played a little golf with him at that Birdies for Beamer thing and reading his story, taking in all of that. So it was notable in multiple ways yesterday for Gamecock football, making headlines across the country. To me, the fact that Kevin Harris was not even really asked about yesterday was a bit surprising at the press conference for Shane Beamer. Beamer was going through injuries and didn't mention his starting running back who ran for 1,000 yards last year, who hasn't really been 100% in practice all preseason long. The fact that Cam Smith is going to be back in the lineup this week and is kind of best case scenario from a injury recovery standpoint, another foot deal, I thought was big and went under the radar yesterday, gentlemen. Bill, do you agree with the Kevin Harris and Cam Smith takes there and being back for that season opener?
Cam Smith, yeah, I kind of put that on Twitter as well. Cam Smith yesterday was, I thought, really big news just because you kind of like Luke Doty. Cam Smith has played, but he needs to get out there and have some good moments, and that defense needs to get out there and with him involved, needs to have some really good moments. And so I thought that was actually really big news. Kevin Harris, I think, even with a back injury, it's kind of, you want to be careful with him. Kevin Harris has kind of proved all he needed to prove. And so I didn't think Kevin Harris playing, I'm not sure if Kevin Harris will play or get a carry on Saturday night. You guys might be there with me. I think maybe the over-under for Kevin Harris carries might be like 2.5. Let him take a snap or two, maybe carry it a few times. But don't you guys think that he will be very limited in what they do as opposed to Cam Smith, who I think is out there 30, 35 snaps early on in the first half before they get him out, if he's as healthy and ready to go as Beamer says? Are y'all with me?
I think the over-under for Kevin Harris would be 1/2 carry. 1/2
carry?
Yeah. Will he play?
No,
I wouldn't give him 3 carries if I'm not going to give him more than that. Like I would just not play him. If I'm only comfortable giving him 3 carries,
I could see a situation where he plays a series, and if they go to him, if he plays a series, I don't think if he's out there on the field, this isn't a game where you have to use him as a decoy. If he's out there on the field, then you give him the ball. Don't let him get hurt, like trying to pass block or something. Like maybe we shouldn't even say carries. Maybe we should say touches in terms of maybe they throw a screen pass to him. But I'm kind of with you, Patrick. If you're not going to give him the ball, I don't see a reason to trot him out there on the field.
Right.
Craig says, how long has Cam Smith been practicing, and how is he in game shape with a screw in his foot? I haven't heard any coaches saying he's been taking reps, but I'm glad he's back nonetheless. I think this has happened relatively recently, the last few practices, and Shane Beamer saying that if it was up to Cam Smith, he'd play 70 plays in this game coming up on Saturday, much more likely to get fewer than that. And it sounds like he's going to be working himself back into game shape, but going to be available for game number 1, which is best case scenario, I think, from Shane Beamer's standpoint. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Our favorite 87-year-old caller, Gamecock Larry, waiting to weigh in this morning. Said he wasn't going to call, and then we got you fired up, Larry. Is that where you are?
You better believe it. I'm going to tell you something. I wasn't going to call, but you got me fired up talking about people laughing about the upstate, laughing about the quarterback. What in the world are they going to say when them Nolan and Jason Brown lead us to an 8-4 season? And then we can redshirt Luke Doty and redshirt Garcia, and then we can get I'm talking about a 5-star quarterback. We don't need no 5 stars. We will develop our 2 and 3 stars, and we'll be in quarterback number. We've been in a good quarterback situation in a couple of years. Give this coaching staff a chance. Don't talk. How can they get? We can get 5 stars. How can they get 5 stars? We get this. Shane just as this first year. Give him a chance. Another thing, old Hog called, and he must have left a message because I wasn't going to get off the phone. But I'm gonna have to be a bulldog this weekend. Boy, I'll tell you what, I don't like either one of these schools. But if Clemson was playing China, I'd have to pull for China. Well, that's about all I got to say. It's all got me fired up. Don't worry about what other people say. They can laugh, and I'll laugh right along with them. But we're going to be all right this year. I guarantee you 7-3 at least, and then we could steal one, get 8-4. But you got this old Gamecock. You really got him mad this morning. But I won't hang up before I say something I ain't supposed to say. Go Gamecocks. You got anything to say to me, Bill, Tim, or Patrick? Woo, you got me.
Gamecock Larry, I would just repeat to you some wise words I heard from a wise man. Don't worry about what other people have to say.
Yeah. Wait, what? Yeah. Wasn't the whole rant about being fired up about what other people say, but then he's fired up about what we said?
And then he gave us the advice that we shouldn't worry about what other people have to say. Perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect Gamecock Larry this morning. His take may be a little different from some others out there. Would love to hear your take at 803-404-6100. More from the Love Chevy phone lines and the Cool Care Heating and Air text line when we come back. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
Dan Patrick. Weekdays 9 until noon.
On 107.5 The Game.
Man, I can just picture Gamecock Larry sitting back in his recliner, off to a good start this morning, nice and relaxed, and then he starts hearing some things he doesn't want to hear and gets all fired up. Now he's on the edge of the recliner and yelling at us and the whole thing, and he had fun with it. The recliner's the main thing that I want to focus on in this little gas baggy hot take here. Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding, that's what they major in. That's their expertise. Motion furniture is what it's called in the business, I'm told. And if you go out to Daniel's, it's the back of the airport over in West Columbia. As soon as you walk in, you'll see 50-plus recliners over to your right, kind of as far as the eye can see. And if you want to upgrade your football watching experience, I recommend you go to Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding. And not just recliners there, even though the reclining love seats, the reclining sofas, their specialty for sure. They got it all. And the great thing about Daniel and June Clark, they've been doing this for 25 years here in the Midlands. They know that you're not a number when you walk in there. You're not a nameless, faceless customer. This is not a big box store. They want to bring you in their family and treat you like family and get you exactly what you need, whether it's on their floor. You can buy right off the floor. You're within 20 miles of the store. They'll deliver it for you free as well. Or you want one piece from this setup, you want another piece from somewhere else, you want to order something, you want to change the fabric, whatever you're looking for from a furniture and bedding perspective, that's exactly what Daniel's will get for you. And when it's time to save, Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding is certainly the place as well. Again, go see them out near the airport in West Columbia. 3911 Edmond Highway is the exact address. That's Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding.
Clear.
The good news is I was kind of paying attention to getting Austin's Chromebook set up, connected to the internet while Gamecock Larry was going on and on and on. So there was no, because we're in that time of the day where you can still see my facial expressions.
For another half hour.
I don't know. It looks, the sun's not really coming up out there today because of the storms here.
Yeah.
It's it may be kind of a gloomy gray kind of day.
Yeah, I was disappointed that Mark hung up because he definitely had a little bit of a tude to him, and was like, "You guys are polishing this like you work for the university." I said, "Well, they don't work for the university." Well, they sure sound like they work for Beamer. Well, they don't, but you're welcome to talk to him. So.
I wonder if he's
Mark.
the one. I wonder if he's the one that's a big fan of Tim on Twitter.
For sure.
Okay. Yep. But instead, we traded that for Clemson Sean, who's on hold, who's like, "This is like Christmas." Like, yeah, you're a pork chop. Yeah. Happy Wednesday.
All right, so we were over 800. So tomorrow night I gotta. Didn't realize I was real low on the Buffalo Trace.
I finished. It's called The Bourbon King. Is the name of that little documentary 2-parter deal. I finished it last.
Really?
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, was it on Netflix?
Yeah, The Heist.
The Heist
of it on it's a 6-part series, but 5 and 6 are the bourbon ones.
Yeah, it's definitely. There may not be much of a sunrise this morning.
Thanks for reminding me. I still need to go back and get those screenshots. We'll do that to hype up the 8 o'clock live stream tomorrow, the PM.
Oh, yeah.
I figured maybe the 8 o'clock drinking thing, I should just parlay that into Friday morning because, again, it could be interesting in here with the computer changes. So maybe having a beverage on board.
Good idea.
Something in the cup. That's smart.
Legally, I can't, but it sure is a nice dream. In case anybody from the FCC is listening, I wouldn't do that.
Let's do number 6 coming back, Jen, please.
Okay.
You let me do. I'll do a liner first too to set it up. That's cool.
Okay. And then 6. Okay.
I got you on mute there, Patrick.
Good.
Yikes! Everything all right there, Steven?
Whoa.
Where is up here?
Yeah.
Craig, what's neat? The story of bourbon. What is that on? Virginia.
Virginia, huh?
Was that part, Stephen? Was that part of the Ida? Is Ida getting into Virginia yet? Is it moved? I haven't looked at any updates. Was that part of the storm or was that just a random storm?
Big night last night, Patrick.
Yeah.
Looks like you got a visit from the hair fairy.
Thanks, Greg.
No, Washington has had a bunch of opportunities to sign Cam Newton, and they've never done it.
I wouldn't want him.
They could have signed him last offseason when anyone was able to, and they didn't want it.
All right, line
Yep,
up.
I know that, Craig. Craig, what channel is it on? Oh, Prime. I see. Prime. I got Prime.
Keep listening here on 107.5 The Game for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Southern 500 over in Darlington Raceway Sunday. Race tickets, camping, premium parking, all available now. DarlingtonRaceway.com. The Sunday Cup Series with the Truck Series playoff doubleheader. Adult tickets start at $50. Youth tickets at $10. The Xfinity tickets for adults $35 on Saturday. Kids are free in select sections, and weekend camping still available. Starts at $80. Saw a picture of our buddy Kerry Tharp yesterday on social media that the first campers from Goose Creek have already shown up there at Darlington. And a big weekend there, obviously, as it is in college football. Back to Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks from his press conference yesterday. Here's what he had to say about his starting cornerback, Cam Smith, returning from injury.
Credit Cam for his rehab and the way that he's handled everything. I mean, he's a guy that when he first got hurt, East Carolina was probably the most likely realistic for him to be back. I mean, there was a chance all along that he'd be back for the first game. I didn't lie to you guys, but it was best case scenario. And Cam's absolutely attacked his rehab to be able to go out there and you know, Cam, I think I'd love to play 70 plays Saturday night if he could. He was out there in practice today and looked great.
And again, I think it's a big thing for Gamecock football going into game number one, and maybe even a bigger deal than the headline-grabbing news from yesterday that Zeb Nolan's going to start. I get the graduate assistant story is a big deal, and having Luke Doty out for game number one, not ideal for Gamecock football, no doubt about it. But the secondary, I think, even more of a concern going into this game than the starting quarterback, knowing what Eastern Illinois has been in the last several years, Bill.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. I don't understand why people are so worked up about this. What two reasons? One, you knew this is a 2-8 football team. You know there are depth issues. You knew there were depth issues in the spring when there was only one scholarship quarterback, or I shouldn't say in the spring, but I should say coming out of January when there was a scholarship quarterback in Luke Doty. Like, I'm a little confused as to why people are so upset and like taken aback by this when there was a scholarship quarterback and then you had Colton Gauthier arrive. That gave you two. He's a true freshman. Jason Brown gets brought up from the FCS level. Pearson Fowler asked this yesterday, and he said Iowa State, but I'll take it a step further. If there had been the connection, there was a connection between Marcus Satterfield and Zeb Nolan's father. If Zeb Nolan had transferred here in the after his spring season at North Dakota State. So if he came in during June, which is I think technically when he could arrive after he finished up his spring semester.
When he did arrive, but just as a coach.
Right, well, but I'm saying if he'd have come in as a
player
walk-on, let's just say he comes in as a walk-on. Do you think people are this upset? Do you think it's Do you think it's this big a story?
No, definitely not. The story is graduate assistant to start at quarterback. That's the story.
That's the only. I mean, like I get it. If
he wasn't recruited to be a player on the team, that's the thing. If they thought he was if they thought he was so good, why didn't you offer him a scholarship from the beginning to be the quarterback?
Oh,
no. That's not the point.
Well, no, the scholarship thing is different. The scholarship thing is different because of how you're trying to allocate and move forward.
The point is more from his perspective. If he thought playing was the way to go, he would have kept playing. That's the amazing part of all this. That's why guys like Clemson Sean want to weigh in on the Love Chevy phone lines. And I think doing it perfectly as we're running out of time here in hour number one. What do you think, Clemson Sean?
I mean, this is an amazing story.
40.
I mean, literally Poindexter was on the sidelines like 3 weeks ago drawing up the annexation of Puerto Rico, and then bam, starting quarterback for an SEC program.
30.
It just means more, guys.
Clips and Sean, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, 20 seconds for a shot. I think he might deserve it. He did bring his kid out
15.
this time last week or last Friday
Man.
to Charwood Golf Club to our golf tournament.
Whatever you hear and whatever your opinion is, that kid was whipping his rear end, running all over the clubhouse of Charwood. As Clemson Sean just wanted to get on the radio and have hot takes, but he was doing the best he made an effort. Great effort to be a father.
Great to see. Hour 2 coming up here on the early game.
WNKT-FM, Eastover, Columbia. It's all sports, all the time. 107.5 The Game.
A Cumulus station.
What can give you a competitive?
Yeah, I think we got that. Feed bacon out there.
Wow, that didn't take long with his little ugliness.
That means we're getting back to normal, Jen. It's a good
I
sign.
know.
A
It is
good
good.
sign.
I just didn't think he was smart enough to pull that off, but
DODI. The way people spell things.
So, Patrick, let's hear more of your analysis of the Cam Newton situation. You said he will not get a look from Washington.
No, I mean, I don't think so. Washington could have signed him when he was a free agent last year before he went to New England and spent the whole season unsigned, whole offseason unsigned. We've got Fitzpatrick now. I don't think Washington would now jump at the opportunity to get him when they've already had it. The analysis overall, I was trying to figure out who I discussed this with because a couple of days ago I told someone like, yeah, I can see Cam getting cut, and I'm trying to figure out who to take a victory lap from. It's just he's not he can't be a backup. Like the 5 days that he was forced to be away from the organization last week, there was a lot of sort of controversy and noise in the background about that. People saying this is not something that should have gone over the Patriots' head. Like the Patriots knew that he wasn't going to be able to come back and let him go anyway. So they must have been giving Mac an extended look. And then once they've decided that Mac won the job, there's no reason to have Cam around because he's not going to do anything the same way as Mac. He's not going to help in the film room like Brian Hoyer will, or even probably Jarrett Stidham. And he's $2 million, so you just get that off, get that off the books, give Mac the full reins, and just completely throw him into it. It's interesting, but Mac looked. I mean, I don't know who's going to be the bust out of this rookie group. They've all looked so good.
I had heard yesterday that it might be difficult for Cam to find a place to land because he's limited. He can't just drop into any offense. Is that
right?
Kind of...
And I don't think anyone wants to sign him to be a backup.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just he's not going to sign with Washington and then start on Sunday. Like that just can't happen.
Yeah, right now his ego is probably just blown to bits.
You got a whisper this morning.
Say what?
Is the rest of the house still sleeping, Patrick?
My dad's up. He's always up early. But yeah, I'm interested how that went down with Cam. Like, did they talk about it? Did they say, "Hey, we're starting Mac," and Cam said, "All right, do you mind releasing me?" Or did the Patriots say, "Hey, we're starting Mac and we're going to release you"?
Bill's theory is that they went to him and said, "Hey, we made this decision, so we'll give you the option to be released as a courtesy to you." And I'm like, I don't think that's how they did it at all. I don't think they told him jack squat.
Well, didn't Belichick publicly say, he was coming along yesterday morning. Like, he's doing okay, but he's definitely not where he was last year. So yeah, I doubt they gave him much courtesy at all. What courtesy is he giving them? I have a spur in my saddle with them. I just think it's a jerk.
Yeah,
the Patriots are the last organization that are in the business of courtesy.
Mm-hmm.
If you just base it off preseason performance, this is actually probably the take right now.
What are you checking out?
When I said I don't know who's going to be the bust, and Logan said Trevor Lawrence will be the bust, based off preseason performance, that probably is the take right now.
Not that last game.
Mm-hmm.
No, not that last game, but that's the thing. They've all looked good. This might be just a super rare class where they all hit. I mean, Zach Wilson's looking money. He's so smooth. Justin Fields has looked awesome. Trey Lance has looked awesome. Trey Lance has been hot and cold, but mostly.
They're also playing against third stringers or guys who are already cut.
Some of them, yeah. I can't wait till they all start in the same week, though.
Jen, we're going all 3 breaks here.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get that into you yet.
So, Patrick, we got a doctor interview at 7:45, so we need to stay on schedule here an hour or 2.
Yep.
Morning, Josh. Morning, Jimmy.
Jimmy, are you Jimmy in Greenville that just texted us? Because that's a funny text.
Let's start with 4 right off the top, please.
Okay.
I'm going to be the one parent who loves e-learning. Like, he knows exactly what to do. I'm like, okay, well, giddy up then.
I got to tell you, e-learning or virtual versus homeschooling, woo, it's like vacation.
I bet.
Years, and he was walking up and down the halls like Uncle Rico, talking about what he did back in the day as a quarterback. He played quarterback a couple months ago. He's been 3 months ago. He's been a graduate assistant coach since June. So like I told you guys, when we activated him to our roster, he's played in a college football game a hell of a lot more recently than anybody on anyone on our team. Is it a little bit unique? Yes, but it wasn't like a couple years ago. He played a few months ago. He's been a coach for basically 2 months as a graduate assistant.
Shane Beamer talking about Zeb Nolan, starting quarterback. Game number 1, Eastern Illinois, 7 o'clock Saturday night. Fired up, as are a lot of you out there, one way or another. The Jackals are out. Clemson Sean just called us at the end of hour number 1. Jimmy up in Greenville, not happy. What year did Clemson Sean graduate from Clemson? Tell his bleep to call in to somewhere else that are filled with Clemson dirtbags who think Dabo invented college football. I just feel like we're back to football season, guys. Eddie says, we were a 2-8 team last year. Anyone who doesn't understand this is year 0 sleeping at the wheel. We're in a rebuild, not only of staff, players, but culture. People like Clemson Sean make me laugh. Teams near the top every year. He thinks a year 0 quarterback story is a burn. I love the back and forth, Bill. I don't know about you, but I missed it. I feel like we haven't had it in a while. And let's start hour number 2 with this. What are the odds that Will Muschamp knows who Uncle Rico is, much less would ever refer to him in a press conference about a starting quarterback? I don't think Will Muschamp even knows who Uncle
Muschamp?
Rico is. Yeah.
When did that, Patrick? When did that movie come out? I feel like it's almost as old as you. Napoleon Dynamite's
It is pretty
over under
2004.
20 years, Tim.
2000.
Yeah, I was going to go 05. I'll
Okay.
go under the 20 years. I'd say more like 15, 18 years max. You're going to look it up right now. I see he's going to.
Yeah, it's 2004.
2004. You nailed it, Patrick. Nice job.
Yeah.
He is our movie expert here.
I don't know. Will Muschamp had a sense of humor though.
Yeah, sneaky funny. It's true. And
I don't know if Napoleon Dynamite is his style of humor.
I don't think so. I think he's.
But I wouldn't be surprised.
He's much more the Uncle Rico type. So, to me, what you're saying about Zeb Nolan today, I think reveals a lot more about you as maybe a football fan or just a person than this actual story. Because I think I'm with Eddie right there. Yeah, this is a rebuild. Crazy stuff happens when one coach is out and another coach is in. How many transfers do they have at Tennessee right now? 40? Basically 40 guys transferred out of the program. Now, this story is unique, just like Shane Beamer referred to. No doubt about it. Is it a great spot for your quarterback room to be in? No. But you know what was a great spot? Bill, you referred to it recently. Was it Sports Illustrated who ranked the Gamecock quarterback position one of the best 5 in the country several years ago? With Jake Bentley at the top and Ryan Helinski in to carry on Joyner. Luke Doty coming in. All 4-star guys. That didn't work out. And now it's at a different spot, no doubt. But I'm a guy who saw, what was it, the 1999 season out at Arkansas where 6 quarterbacks play or something like that. And it was really, really bad. None of those guys had transferred in from Iowa State or played at North Dakota State. They weren't best buddies with the number 3 overall pick in the NFL and had been in a quarterback battle with him. So I'm not here to tell you that Zeb Nolan's going to light the world on fire. I'm thinking he is a lot more like the starting quarterback for the Gamecocks at this time last year than maybe the backup quarterback that they have now going into this game in Jason Brown, another FCS guy. And kudos to Jason Brown for handling it the way he did yesterday, for meeting the media and answering questions and the whole thing, and admitting too, actually, did you guys catch this? Jason Brown said he got beat out his second year coming off an injury and said he didn't handle it well up at St. Francis and wasn't proud of it and has learned from it and matured and moving on. And I'll be very interested to see how he performs, assuming he gets in the game on Saturday, and just how big a difference a quarterback makes in a game against Eastern Illinois where the Gamecocks are 40-plus point favorites, Bill.
There's a couple points to this, and one, Jason Brown, I was impressed with him yesterday. I can't say that I've been a fan of his or anti his or Zeb Nolan. I haven't really cared because again, it's East Carolina. Quite frankly, Tim, you and I've kind of talked about it. The best decision, if he's capable of doing it, the best decision for Eastern Illinois is to play Colton Gottlieb year. Use one of those 4 games that he can play in and let him go out. South Carolina should beat Eastern Illinois. Somebody asked us earlier, and I don't know if they're still listening, and I apologize. I can't remember if it was on the live stream or a text. They asked us where we're getting these lines. Action Sports Network, which, Tim, you said you believe is a Brent Musburger affiliated site, something that it does look like a legitimate site. They've got lines up from multiple different entities as well. If you look at it, not just their own. But Jason Brown really impressed me yesterday with what he said. Now, does that mean he's going to go out and throw for 7 touchdowns and 900 yards this year if given the opportunity? No. But I'm with you, and that's right now in a rebuild. That's the culture you've got to have in that locker room. South Carolina is, they will have to fight, scratch and claw to get the 6 wins this year. But Shane Beamer has got to kind of reset the culture here. He's got to redo everything. And hearing Jason Brown yesterday was solid, impressive. That's what you need. And he may get a chance this year. Look, I'm under the assumption, and I've been wrong before. It doesn't happen often, and certainly, as Jen will tell you, it doesn't happen when we make NASCAR picks. But I've been wrong before, and Luke Doty could be out for the East Carolina game. He could be out for it. We don't know.
Bill, as I
Right now.
listened to Shane Beamer talk yesterday, it wasn't a confident stance about Luke Doty definitely being back for East Carolina. He said he's just moved to tennis shoes at practice and finally walking around.
Yeah.
I know there's the potential for him to continue to progress and be ready to go. Right now, I think I would put that at 50-50. And that is not what I assumed hearing, not the initial analysis. I guess initially it was feared to be a season-ending deal, and then after that, it came out that it would not be. But I'm surprised we're at this point right now. So, again, we've talked about this multiple times in multiple ways, but whoever you start in game number 1 is who you have to have ready for game number 2 for Gamecock football with the way the schedule is, going on the road and upping the level of competition. Why
Not
don't
necessarily.
you agree with that?
Not necessarily. I think, the Tommy Beecher scenario where, if you start him in game number 1 and he looks awful, you know what you got. Maybe you go on to the guy in game number 2.
For sure. But I'm saying you're going with your best option who you think
you're just saying who – yeah, I see what you're saying.
Give you the best chance to win, not just game number 1, but game number 2.
Right, I get what you're saying. I thought you were saying whoever you start in game number 1 has to start in game number 2.
No, certainly not.
Yeah, no, but look, you're hoping that this is a one-game scenario against a very overmatched opponent and that you have your starting quarterback in the lineup for East Carolina. We'll talk about that next week. And obviously on Wednesday of next week, after we hear Shane Beamer, our conversation regarding quarterbacks next week likely to be entirely different, right, Tim? Like at that point, it won't be an odd story. It won't be a curiosity story. It will be a serious story of like, hey, is the starting quarterback back yet? Or like, what's his health? Is he going to play? And because it matters. It matters next week with Luke Doty if he is what they've said. And so next week's, as we sit here on Wednesday morning next week going into that East Carolina game, that question I think is we're discussing it in a far more serious manner.
Yeah, and yesterday,
give credit
when the question came up yesterday in the press conference, Bill, about what might happen, Shane Beamer kind of cut that off at the pass real quick. Said, I understand why you got to ask it, but we're worried about Eastern Illinois. We'll worry about East Carolina and the quarterback situation for week number 2 during week number 2. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but I mean, then you just kind of go from there and you say, okay, well, I'm not. In a way, I'm trying to find the silver lining in a wild situation. I will say if there is a positive that comes from this, and I can't take credit for it because I think one of the texters sent this in and said the only good news that really actually does come out of this is that in case what you're going to see Saturday night, in case Luke Doty is out or gets injured again this year, and look, he's a mobile quarterback, and that's going to be part of the offense. You're at least going to know what's behind him after Saturday night, right? Like as we watch Zeb Nolan and Jason Brown on Saturday night, that may be the one thing that we're semi-able to take away from, even though Eastern Illinois is a bad football team. Like we can at least say, okay, well, we watched those two guys play. Now we know exactly what's behind Luke Doty at the quarterback position in case he gets hurt and has to miss a quarter, a series, a game moving forward. You at least kind of have a better idea.
You have a better idea. You're not going to know, though. I mean, what if all of them have like 7 pass attempts because all we do is just jam the ball?
I think you got to – no, I think you got to – that's what I put out yesterday. Predicted stat line for Zeb Nolan.
Yeah.
Like predicted stat line. Now, I don't think that they're going to take a bunch of shots downfield. I think it's going to be a bunch of easy passes to the tight end. I think I said 14 of 19 for 148 yards, which was, right around – 14 of 19. I think I'd have to go back and look, but it was right around 10 yards a completion, and that would be seems about right to me. Now the question is, if Jason Brown plays, how many passes did Jason Brown throw? Because Patrick, to your point, like 30 passes in this game seems like a lot for two combined quarterbacks. Now, but maybe that is what it is. Maybe Jason Brown. I could see a situation where Jason Brown's 8 of 11. They give him a chance to throw it around. That would seem like the right game plan if they can show that they can run the football effectively. You would assume they will be able to. I think Indiana State had about 150, 160 yards rushing the other night. If South Carolina shows that basically if they get into a situation, they can just turn on and hand it off and win the game, and you can take some chances throwing the football, I do think there's an element of, you need to You need to throw it a little bit more than maybe you didn't want to. 30 passes might seem about right.
Zeb Nolan, the starting quarterback for the Gamecocks in game number 1. Jason Brown missing out on that opportunity. We referenced how he handled that, let you hear exactly what he had to say yesterday as the only quarterback speaking in the media availability for the Gamecocks. That's coming up next here. Hour number 2, off to quite the start. Courtney's asking, did Luke Doty play at all last year? 2.5 games, Courtney. Damon says he's surprised Dacarrion Joyner isn't getting the start. They didn't even move him back to quarterback, Damon. But maybe another coaching staff would have handled it that way. Casey says he's not a fan of either team, the Carolina or Clemson, or maybe Eastern Illinois. But Beamer comes across as defensive from yesterday. Why even bring it up? Comes across as selling Zeb to the fan base, and that's not good. Oh, we got a lot of issues, too. Discuss.
We got to argue about the battle armor thing, too.
Oh, yeah. We haven't even talked about the uniforms yet. Yeah. Bill, I'm very proud of you. I don't say that often on the show.
I'm upset.
Of course you are. It's the early game. It's what it's 5 the game.
Live, local, and free. That's how we do sports. 107.5 The Game. Feel free to call and complain if you wish.
You should call that radio station and let him have it.
Remember, we are free of charge, after all.
Speaking of free, right now, you might think you can get basically free money out there on the housing market. Beaufort Lending wants to help you figure out exactly what your options are. Just saw Benji Getzi at Charwood Golf Club on Friday. He's a good golfer, by the way, good player, and really good at his job. Been doing it for almost 25 years down in Beaufort. And Beaufort Lending, whatever loan you want to explore, whatever your situation, Benji Getzi and his team have been there and done that. Give them a call at 843-524-2404. All Beaufort Lending asks is that you put them on your list of lenders to explore out there. And Benji and his team are confident they'll earn your business because they've been through the VA loans. They're a mile from Paris Island, USA. The FHA loans, the USDA loans, the conventional construction renovation. What maybe you're looking for a second mortgage right now. I can tell you from firsthand experience going through the process with Beaufort Lending that they're a lender that you can trust because they were there for me every step of the way. Sometimes you need a letter at just the right time. You need to be able to communicate with your lender for them to get back to you. That's what Beaufort Lending has done for me, and they can do it for you as well. Let Beaufort Lending show you your options right now in a hot housing market. Beaufort Lending, give them a call at 843-524-2404.
Just left alone. How dare you? Cleared the room. Cleared the room. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I think the X-ray's negative. Ozzy Albies carried off the field. Fouled one off his leg. Yeah, hopefully he'll be okay. Not surprised the Dodgers are tough. 3-2 last night's final, I believe. Yeah.
So I was kind of confused. I answered the phone and asked the woman, what her name was and asked her to repeat it. I didn't understand it. And then she said, well, my computer's not booting up.
Nice.
And I said, are you trying to get on the live stream? Well, apparently somebody gave her the wrong number for some help of some kind, but.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was real confused.
Jensen, IT specialists.
That's right. Call me and I'll tell you what not to do. It's pretty cute.
That's what I'm here for, Mark. That's what I'm here for.
The craziest. My dad's watching the Paralympics. He's watching blind handball. Have you ever seen this?
No.
It is one of the most insane things I've ever watched. There's 3 people in each goal, and basically you just roll the ball. You can't make any noise after you've rolled the ball because they're focused on hearing it to stop it. But
right,
it's insane. It's very, very impressive to watch. They're snagging the ball just by hearing.
Wow. Does the ball make a special sound?
It's it looks like it's a kickball type of thing, so it's just a rubber ball hitting the mat. and they roll it. Like you can't throw it through the air. You have to roll it so it kind of bounces, and there's rules on how it can bounce.
That's great.
It's insane.
It's pretty cool.
I guess I didn't know what was really in the Paralympics, but I've seen, like wheelchair basketball or like racing and things like that, swimming, but I never even thought of blind handball would have never crossed my mind.
So Jen, want to come back with Jason Brown straight in, please?
Yeah, Logan. This year I'm in 3. I've always done 1. Now I'm in 3. I had a draft on Sunday. I got a draft tonight, and I've got a draft on Monday.
You're not going to enjoy this much.
We'll see how the draft plays out. I'm hoping that at least my top picks, I'm going to be able to. I know it's not going to be the case because I picked. I picked 11 or 10th. I think I picked 10th on Sunday, and I picked 3 tonight. So I'm definitely not going to be able to pick at least the same first round player. Bill, you're muted.
Tim, are you telling Patrick he's not going to enjoy this?
Yes.
Only being in 1 league?
No, he's in 3 this year.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just hoping to not have to have too many situations where
it's going to happen.
I'm
Nothing you know about
people or yeah.
So Brown straight in, Jen. Cool.
Which one?
Jason Brown.
All right.
As the week plays out beforehand. So like Saturday and Sunday, I kind of saw like how it was going with the reps, like how they were broken up and everything. So I kind of had a feeling how it was going to go. So I kind of prepared myself for it. But I'm not going to lie. I mean, it hurt just because there was times I would just think like, man, did all this work I put in since February kind of just amount to nothing, you know? Because my goal was to take the field Saturday and take that first snap with the guys here. So, but with that being said, I mean, when I got told Monday, I mean, I didn't take it negatively just because, I mean, I love to compete and that's one of our core values here. So I love Zeb and I hope he does the best. I'm not going to sit here and hope that he does bad or gets hurt or anything like that. That's not me. I hope he succeeds because that means the team's going to succeed. So I'm just going to go in and prepare like I'm a starter. And then whenever that opportunity comes, I'm going to be ready. And Beamer said I'll be playing Saturday and I'll be playing early. So main focus is just knowing everything that I have to do. That way, when I get in Saturday, I can go in and make plays and help this team win the game.
That's Jason Brown, the FCS transfer from St. Francis. You can hear it in his voice, the disappointment there. Kudos to him for publicly speaking when he could have easily used a class conflict to stay out of the spotlight and not address it publicly. You can hear the maturity there. It will be, to me, really interesting to see what he does with his shot and how it works out. Because there are some of you on here kind of hyping things up for sure, talking about how it might not be good for team chemistry and the whole thing, and how surprised you might have been by the announcement yesterday, how maybe you're going with it, some kind of conspiracy theory, and the fact that Zeb Nolan's father had a relationship with Shane Beamer or Marcus Satterfield, the whole thing. To me, it's very simple. It's always a lot simpler than we try to make it, or you might try to read into it in this thing. He's the best guy. Zeb Nolan is the best guy. I think the coaching staff would probably have preferred for Jason Brown to be the better guy. I don't think they're enjoying it, and I think Shane Beamer was a little defensive yesterday about the graduate assistant story, but he's kind of sticking up for his player and his program as well. And the easier transition would have been for the transfer that came in back in January to have stepped up and to have become the guy. And then you got a guy like Zeb Nolan or Colton Gothier backing him up, but that's not how it worked out for Jason Brown. Seems like he's handling it about as well as you could ask for, Bill.
He is, and I think this will be a big testament to what exactly, if you believe Jason Brown, no reason not to, but where he says that Shane Beamer told him he'd get in early. This will be an excellent opportunity to find out, or for Shane to kind of live up to his word here, because that would resonate with the team if you see Jason Brown. Now, I don't know what early is. To me, that's the first half. Maybe the first quarter. I guess it depends on how many series the Gamecocks get in the first quarter. Is the defense forcing some 3-and-outs and getting the football back? But if he gets out there, he's going to have an opportunity to show what he can do. And if he goes out there, and I tend to agree with people, if he goes out and he's 7 of 7 and he's slinging the ball down the field, and I think everybody's going to be able to look and see what they do under the lights. Tim, you were a guy. I don't know if Shane Beamer comes from. It felt like Steve Spurrier was a guy that practice was important, but it's how you performed in the game that mattered.
For sure.
Will Muschamp, it seemed like practice was the most important thing. Your game performance wasn't quite as important as what you did in practice. If you could do everything properly in practice, you were going to play even if you made mistakes in the game. Spurrier, I think, was a guy who was kind of like, well, the game is where it matters the most, what you do under the lights. You can have bad practices, but if you go out and you play well in the game, that's what matters to me the most. We'll see. Jason Brown, you turn the lights on, might go out there and be, he might be the next coming, the second coming of Brett Favre for all we know. You got to put him out there, and to see him play will be interesting, be a lot of fun. The same thing with Zeb Nolan.
Well, Shane Beamer did mention yesterday he thinks Jason Brown is a guy that kind of steps up when the stakes are higher and the spotlight is brighter, and pointed to the spring game as an example of that. You couldn't have watched that spring game and come out and say, hey, there's something to this guy. Maybe it's just the fact that he's throwing to his 6'7" receiver that he's played with since middle school, but he made some touchdown passes and raised some eyebrows in that way. Another texter hit us up a little bit earlier, and another comment that stood out to him was about a blitz period in practice, I think on day number 1 when Zeb Nolan practiced for the first time. And Shane Beamer said they just have blitz periods where they're coming from all angles. And what Zeb Nolan did that period was the best that the team had done. And the texter suggesting maybe the gap between Nolan and Luke Doty isn't that big. I think we're going to see more of that next week, assuming Doty continues to progress with his midfoot sprain and continues to get towards 100%. I'm not sure how much we're going to learn about that with Eastern Illinois. To me, this is all about trust, Bill, and we talk about it all the time with coaches being able to trust players. I don't think there is a position in sports where there has to be more trust between coach and player than quarterback and offensive coordinator. And I think this is the result of the guy who drew up the playbook, quite literally, now it makes a lot of sense that you hand the keys over to your offense in game number 1, especially when the quarterback, again, and Shane Beamer said it several times yesterday, you're not asking him to go win the game. You're asking him to get him the right protections, to get in and out of the huddle, to operate the offense in the right way, especially in this game. I think it's the safer play. Who starts in game number 2 will be a little bit more interesting, I think, to all of us. But it's a heck of a story. There's no doubt about it. And it is a unique situation Gamecock football finds itself in going into game number 1, Bill.
With trust, real quick, are you guys, Patrick, you and Tim, are y'all noticing? It feels like I'm hearing more and more and more from coordinators and coaches. I'm trying to think of who it was yesterday. It wasn't Satterfield, and it might have been Tony Elliott, but I feel like it was another or somewhere else who mentioned how they cannot believe quarterbacks in college do not have headsets, or is it headsets? Is that the best way to say? But they're not able to communicate to their helmet like the NFL. Like, are you guys
green
hearing
dot
more?
helmets? Yeah.
Are you guys hearing more and more and more of this now at the college game? It felt like we never heard about it, and I feel like coaches are now starting to push for this to be the next step for them to be able to communicate with their quarterback in the headset. Are y'all hearing as much of this as I am, or am I just blowing this out of proportion?
No, I think that makes sense with just where we are from a technology standpoint. And coaches see it happening on the next level. That's one of the things you want to get your players prepared for. Why not, when you have the technology to do it, take that next step and kind of evolve the college game? I don't blame them. It would make things a little easier, Patrick.
Is it I'm trying to think why it wouldn't. Is it a money thing? Like, not every team will have the ability to set that up or have someone in the booth to talk to them? Or
I think it's maybe that plus technology, and then all the infrastructure that would have to go in to make that happen maybe is keeping that from happening. I don't know. Maybe it's a contract with a specific technology firm or company. I don't know how it goes.
I feel like it's not going to be long before that happens.
I agree. And right now we need to take a quick break. Going to kick off the second half of the program with the uniform comments from Shane Beamer. By the way, several of you, I see you take exception for Jason Brown calling Shane Beamer or referring to him as Beamer in there. Maybe we'll discuss that as well. I'm amazed by some of the comments that are floating in here this morning. But that just means
Dion wouldn't like it.
We're getting into the season. What's that, Patrick?
Dion wouldn't like it.
Well, Sanders, talked to Sanders the other day. How about just calling him Prime? That would be amazing. Yeah. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
This is Gamecock head coach Frank Martin, and you're listening to
with this amount of excitement, football season upon us, the need to be able to discuss some of the things that we're discussing, I need a great night of sleep. Sleep Number bed allows me to do that. I put the sleep number setting on 65, and I am ready to go, whether it's quarterback discussion or, as we're about to do, the uniform discussion each and every morning. You can do the same. Discover the Sleep Number 360 smart bed now during the Labor Day weekend special. All beds are on sale. You can also save 50% on a new limited edition smart bed, plus free delivery and setup on all smart beds. Plus, you can get special financing, subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details right now. But this deal ends Monday, only at a Sleep Number store. 2 to choose from, one in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia, 2 Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web as well, sleepnumber.com. Again, the Labor Day weekend special. All beds are on sale, and you can save 50% on a new limited edition smart bed with free delivery and setup on all smart beds. You can't beat that deal. Football season is upon us. You need a great night of sleep to be ready to root on your team each and every Saturday. So make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like. How you doing this morning? Yesterday morning. Well, we were screwing.
Oh, the flag is flying out there on Lake Murray.
And so I just put the chair up there. And
get rid of Patrick.
I didn't do it. We were here.
eavesdrop on Bill anymore. Tomorrow night, Thursday at 8, Anthony. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Join us. We're going to limit it to an hour. Send me another email. We'll get you in on that thing. Just Tim at 1075 The Game will work. If you guys would like to join us in the video portion of the 1075 The Bar episode tomorrow, 8 o'clock p.m., 8 to 9, just send me an email. I'll send you the link. You can hop in there.
Ooh, Logan's in a super flex league right here. This is, if you have Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, you're in good shape.
Oh,
there's I think there's a pretty clear tier of quarterbacks. It's Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, and Josh Allen for fantasy. Gotta have the run threat, and those guys all have the run threat.
What, you would put Deshaun Watson in there if it was clear?
If we knew that he was going to play every game, he'd be right there. And Dak is close, but we have to see him play, and we have to see him move the sticks with his legs a couple times to feel comfortable about that.
Yeah, it's why I don't even put in drafts until after 53-man roster for sure.
Right. Yeah, that's
rookie stuff there, Jesse.
Mm-hmm. But if you drafted Cam early, then that's on you.
Yeah, he deserved it anyway.
Yeah.
So I've never even heard of the 2 quarterback league. So that means you got to carry 3, right? Unless you're just going to be wiring it up.
Logan can confirm, but I think it's is it 2 QBs or is it a super flex that allow, because that's a new thing where you have an extra flex spot that you're allowed to use quarterbacks in, and almost everybody uses that spot for a quarterback, unless your team's just loaded. So I don't know if that's the deal. That's a new trend though. People like scoring. It's like football. They just like scoring lots of points. So people are adding different ways to accumulate points. I don't like.
So what was
the pick?
What's that?
So I don't like having the 3rd pick tonight.
2 QBs. I hear you, Logan.
Interesting. What were you gonna say, Tim? What was the what?
I was gonna ask what the uniform combo that Beamer announced was, but we're gonna hear in just a second. I know it's Garnet.
Garnet, white, Garnet, or white, yeah.
I think it's white, Garnet, white, isn't it?
Garnet, white.
I don't know.
I think you're correct because I remember the
Bill's
white pants.
category.
I remember people commenting that a lot of people aren't fans of the white helmets. All right, so this will be probably pretty short.
Yeah.
We're about to head back in.
Bill, we need to make this one pretty short.
You know about that?
That's not gonna get him to be helpful at all.
No, I just mean he understands the concept of brevity.
Yeah.
I hope your house doesn't end up toilet paper tonight and it rains.
We all know you'd have to farm that out with the way you're physically.
Exactly.
This is true. Well, look, you don't do that on your own anyway.
2, please, Jen.
2 straight in. Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, the topic of conversation today and wants to talk about is our uniforms and what we're think on that one. He actually mentioned doing that. So very good think. It's our uniforms. We're going to wear white helmets, garnet jerseys, and white pants on Saturday night. So there is your uniform reveal for the week. We are very thankful that Under Armour takes great care of us and gives us a lot of uniform options and combinations. but we're not going to get into every single week spending time and wasting a whole lot of time as a team trying to figure out what we're wearing on Saturdays. Let's worry about how we play, not what we're wearing. And I've told the players that, and they're on board. Does not mean we won't mix it up from time to time, but let's worry about preparing ourselves to play the very best in the 10, 15 minutes that they spent last year and in previous years figuring out what they're wearing. That could have been spent preparing for the opponent and getting themselves ready to play. So we'll certainly mix it up. Players will have a say in what they're wearing. I'll certainly listen to them if there's options that they want to have, but we're not going to come out there wearing a different uniform for the next 12 weeks. I can assure you that.
Shane Beamer, yesterday's weekly press conference. Bill, are you crushed? It sounded like it might have been crushing news to you.
No, I actually not. I didn't get into. I think people were hurt because of the videos. People love the videos. I didn't get into the battle armor videos quite like everybody else did.
Patrick, you're the one
I did like
right now.
Yeah.
Kind of, but mostly surprised. Like, this doesn't. That take from Beamer. Well, I don't disagree. Like, sure, focusing on the uniforms is unnecessary, but I like the idea that the Muschamp regime was too focused on off the field things like
having
uniforms,
too much
like,
fun. Way too much
like that
fun
was
with those guys.
That was just so totally not the issue for Muschamp, and it was just counter to everything that we've been complaining about. And also, as someone who's been like Twitter savvy and all about recruiting and things like that, the idea that we're not worried about these uniform videos, I was just surprised by, because I like the the uniform videos. I saw some people from the creative media team tweeting about this. There are some people that are a little bummed because those videos weren't about the uniforms.
Right.
Like, it was always something representative of Columbia, of the University of South Carolina. If it was Fair Week, there would be somebody like I think last year there was somebody on like the merry-go-round or whatever it was. There's people in the river or whatever. Like, it's always something cool outside the State House at Soda City, the farmers market. Like, it was always something cool that showed a glimpse into Columbia or the culture around this area. So it was far more of a representative video than just here's what we're wearing for this Saturday's game. So I thought those videos were cool in that regard, and I thought they were good for recruiting purposes as well, because everyone liked them. They do such a good job. Justin King and those guys do such a good job that it's a shame that they're not going to be able to put that minute or two of content out every week.
They still can. It just doesn't.
It just won't revolve around
the uniform. Like, and look, I agree with you. I don't know if putting out a cool uniform video, but then losing 45-3 to Texas A&M resonates with recruits. Like, I don't know if a recruit's saying, man, well, I'll go there. I know they're getting beat by Texas A&M by 42 and giving up 59 to Mississippi and letting TJ Finley rip them for 200 yards. But the videos look good. There's part of me, and y'all tell me what you think about this, because I think this is an interesting insight into Shane Beamer. And you've heard him mention this a couple times. I think he talked about it yesterday. Also, just about in being an assistant coach, things that he's thought about over his period of time, like how he wants to do it. And yesterday, one of the things he talked about was like, I think it was something as simple as, at what time do they come out to warm up? What do they wear to team meetings on Friday? What do they wear to team meetings on Saturday? Think about the uniforms that we kind of most associate with him with over really the last four programs. South Carolina, Steve Spurrier was pretty straightforward, right? Garnet white, or white helmet, garnet jersey, white pants. He would do the garnet on garnet, the big game garnet. South Carolina was winning 11 games at that point, 10 games. Nobody was complaining about the uniforms. Everybody was perfectly on board. That was our uniform, and we like it, and we're sticking with it. As a matter of fact, I think they wore the battle grays down in LSU back in 2011 and lost. And I feel like even Spurrier was like, shouldn't have worn those uniforms. They're bad uniforms. But Beamer was a part of that. Very simple. It goes to Virginia Tech. I guess Virginia Tech every once in a while will wear something different, like for Military Day or something, or military, for Veterans Day. But Virginia Tech's pretty plain and simple. Georgia occasionally goes to the black uniforms. Occasionally they'll do something kooky and wear something weird, but they're pretty simple. Oklahoma, I don't know if Oklahoma's changed their uniform in 50 years. I think to him that's one of the things. Like, if you start winning, I guess it's cool to do some of those things. But right now, win some football games before you start worrying about mixing and matching uniforms and helmets and colors.
We hear where you're coming from, Bill. Also going to hear from an actual expert on the show. Coming up next, Dr. Ben Jackson, a foot and ankle expert, giving us some details on specific injuries. Bill's going to try to turn into his own personal doctor segment. We'll try to keep
We
that
won't let
from
that
happening.
happen.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
College football are here.
Sometime, crew is up against it. The break.
How many new liners did we get?
What was that, Patrick?
How many new liners did we get?
A bunch. Chris has been busy. Good morning, Hope.
I'm glad to hear the new liners. I didn't want to hear the "It's a new year" 30-second Shade Beaver. Well, welcome home, Coach.
That's pretty good impersonation. If you ever have any ideas about some that we should pop in there, let me know, man. Chris is great at doing those, and he likes doing.
Does he come up with the ideas? Or do you send him? Does everybody send him stuff?
Some of them, and I'd say most of them are kind of collaborative.
Just like mixing in the sound effects and stuff, though, he does a really good job.
Right. Like a lot of times I'll give him kind of like, hey, let's do hey, radio is free. Like, and then he'll just come up with something kind of around that. Yeah, it was. He said Justin King just kind of handed him one of those helmets and got him to do it during a photo shoot, and then it went nuts. So this is all part of the process, Bill. You're talking about it. Like what we're going to see, Beamer as ultra positive, new hire, brand new head coach, and then Beamer as head football coach too, that has to kind of lay down the law and be the guy, be the bad guy sometimes. It's going to be interesting. And it's all going to be taken into context of how much are you winning?
Exactly. That's like where did Blue Palmetto there, Blue, our boy Blue. Yeah, Blue, but the kids that South Carolina wants to recruit, where are they going? They're going to Alabama. I don't think Alabama's ever worn a different jersey. Did you see Scott tweeted at us the other night? And I don't know if it was a true comment or not. I don't know if it was a true, if it was just, but it was a Nick Saban comment about like Oregon has 100 uniforms. Like, yeah, around here we have 2, home and away. And we worry about what players are wearing. Though. Like whatever comment, I didn't know if that was true or not, so I didn't give it.
Yeah,
but Scott sent that in. I thought that was but Alabama had switch uniforms. Ohio State.
But South Carolina can't even keep the same
game. What's your name?
Logo. They can't even keep the same logo. Like we don't have. I mean, I love that those programs have just like their classic look. But I mean, Alabama's got their little A, and we can't even decide: are we the Block C? Are we doing the SC thing like for baseball? Like we just don't have that continuity or that classic look that we can just always fall back on.
James says it's true. He said it. I'm gonna have to start watching Nick Saban press conferences, like just as entertainment. When does Saban? I gotta see when Saban does. Does Saban do a Tuesday press conference? If so, that'll be my Tuesday night routine.
And Dr. Jackson is on and ready.
Cool.
Well,
Tim, given that he's not here to actually diagnose my foot, I'll probably try to stay out of the way here.
who are like the most classic uniforms? Penn State's up there. I think Penn State's uniforms are just
Southern Cal,
perfectly so classic.
Yeah. Ohio State, Penn State, Southern Cal, Alabama.
Ohio State mixes it up though.
They'll throw a different one in there occasionally.
Yeah. But I feel like Michigan never mixes it up.
Yeah, Michigan. Notre Dame's gotten into that weird Shamrock series.
Yeah.
Another reason
Oklahoma's for sure super classic look.
Yeah, Oklahoma, they might change their pants a little bit. Like they might go to like a more of a grayish every once in a while. But
good call.
BYU is a good call.
The Notre Dame with the green They killed it for me recently.
I am a big fan of everything. Like Penn State is just
K-State?
white, blue, white. Like there's nothing to Penn State's.
I think that's
And
the question. Has
it's either
anybody?
white out or blue
How
out.
many teams? How many teams can you name that don't have like a third alternate or have not done something gimmicky? Alabama does. I don't think I can remember Alabama doing anything gimmicky. Penn State is there. Has Michigan? I think Michigan did do something.
I can't really remember Michigan doing. I mean,
I think they might have worn
Pretty
like
standard.
blue pants one time, going like all blue, something gimmicky like that.
Yeah, you guys are up.
Right out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Nice to have an
expert in on the program who knows what he's talking about. Dr. Ben Jackson from Palmetto Health USC Orthopedic joining us here. A Lexington native, ran some track in college, officiated soccer as well. I'm reading here, Dr. Jackson. Is that correct? You sound like a Renaissance man.
Hey, why not? You know,
good for you, man. That's taken a lot of grief. That would be my first. That would be number one. But you are a foot and ankle expert. So I'm wondering, we'll keep these in generic terms, obviously, but that is on Gamecock fans' minds these days. Can you tell us the difference between, because we've seen injuries reported in various ways, what's the difference between a midfoot sprain and an ankle sprain?
Yeah, so basically it's a difference in the part of the body. So the ankle, as most folks know, is kind of the joint that connects the main shin bone down to the foot is the ankle. The midfoot sprain is literally that kind of area in between kind of the toes and the back of the foot, and what most people would consider kind of the top of the arch area. That's more of a midfoot sprain. So although they're not separated by very much, they're kind of completely different injury patterns.
Can you have both at the same time?
It's pretty rare to have both at the same time, Salu, because of how you do it. So most of the time, an ankle sprain is more of a turning of the foot. Generally inward is the most common way to sprain the ankle. Generally more of a midfoot sprain is most commonly when people have their foot landed on or sometimes even stepped on, are ways that you can kind of get that injury most commonly.
And then I think how Gamecock fans were initiated into that was the Jake Bentley, Liz Frank situation. I know Travis Etienne from Clemson in the NFL dealing with being out for the season. So foot stability, I've seen and heard, is the main issue with coming back from that or not. Can you explain a little bit more what that means from your perspective, foot stability when it comes to a foot sprain versus a Liz Frank fracture?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question. So the main difference is, so the bones and the ligaments in the middle of the foot for these midfoot sprains, which are also called Liz Frank injuries, they're very important, both ligaments and bones there. If there's even a small tear to those ligaments or a fracture of the bones, that really affects the stability of the entire arch and foot. So if those aren't treated appropriately, then what can happen, and they don't heal appropriately, then the arch can collapse. And that becomes a really significant problem, not just for doing things like playing football, but even just walking around, which is why injuries to those areas are treated very appropriately, and we work those up very thoroughly in patients that have those.
Dr. Ben Jackson from Palmetto Health USC Orthopedic. I guess my next question then is a cast, a walking boot, and then what if you're trying to rehab from a midfoot sprain to get back to playing shape, especially as it pertains to football?
Yeah, sure. So I think that a lot of it depends on the particular injury patterns. Even guys like Jake Bentley or Cam Newton or Travis Etienne, their patterns can be a little bit different, although it's categorized in the same area. Their patterns of injury can be different, so they're all kind of treated differently. A lot of times, although not all the times that these injuries are treated surgically, the worst ones are treated surgically, and that's why typically it is a season-ending type of injury. Fortunately, if they're treated appropriately early and the stability of the foot is restored, then it's more of a season-ending but not a career-ending type of problem. And so that's the thing that we've learned over time about these injuries, is that we really need to get the bones realigned well to allow the ligaments to heal. And if you do that, then again, you're just out for the season, and it's not a career ending thing. Previously, we didn't understand kind of the significance of this. Decades ago, these would be career ending type of injuries to folks' feet.
Man, I really appreciate the information here and wanted to give everybody the heads up. The Palmetto Health USC Orthopedic Center, the Black and Blue Clinic, open on Saturdays during football season. Walk-ins, no appointments necessary or even taken there. 8 to noon on Saturdays. The Northeast office at 101 Business Park Boulevard for Palmetto Health USC Orthopedic. He's Dr. Ben Jackson. Real quick, Dr. Jackson, can you tell us who's worse, football fans or soccer fans, being a former soccer referee?
Ooh, I got to say soccer fans. Nobody likes screaming handball.
45.
Soccer fans. So there you go.
Excellent work. We appreciate your time. He's Dr. Ben Jackson here on the Love Chevy phone lines. Every week, we're going to talk to an expert from Palmetto Health USC Orthopedic here during the football season and actually get some real information. Bill, thank you for not making that your personal injury segment. Jen, I
25.
guess you deserve all the credit for muting his mic there.
Got that right.
Sounds like it's a 1 in a million thing that I've gotten here. Midfoot and ankle.
You're 1 in a million. There's no
Hot
doubt
mess.
about that, my friend.
15.
1 in a million for sure.
I was hoping he was going to say, "No, that happens a lot." I was going to be like, "Oh, okay, good." And when he hit me with the, "No, man, that's pretty rare," I was like, "Uh-oh."
Hour 3.
No football at the tailgate this Saturday.
WNKT
There.
Eastover, Columbia. Total coverage.
There's a specific kind of show that I would reference your injuries to be,
Understood. I would go with a cluster, but if you
Yeah.
want to show,
Yeah. He was very good.
Yeah.
yes, he was. A lot of information. A lot of
Check on
information.
Austin. Make sure we got the e-learning off and going.
Nice. I was looking at some of the reviews on Dr. Jackson, and one guy said, "Dr. Jackson, foot whisperer." So
Wow.
must have been pretty happy with him.
Good for him.
I don't think I want that necessarily a job of being a foot whisperer, but you know.
Right.
I do think I'm now trying to find what schools never do alternate uniforms, and I do kind of think that Penn State and Alabama might be the only schools that have never done an alternate uniform.
And I need to go back and look because there's somebody who's doing one, and I mean the colors were amazing.
For what school?
Yeah.
Kansas just did a cool one yesterday.
That
Is
might
that what
be
you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a funky tealish purple.
Yeah.
It was somebody that I wouldn't have said, "Oh man, I bet they're going to have really great uniforms." So maybe the only thing they have going for them.
Yep. This is what Kansas is wearing for their homecoming game. Do you see this, Tim?
That's it.
It's not gonna fix it.
Now, what if you tilt it? I think if you tilt it, you can get a different camera look at it. Come on, keep coming.
There we go.
Just keep coming. So looks like two different colors to me. No?
They are, yeah. It's like teal tops and more royal blue bottoms. They're cool looking though. They're I think that was what their old uniforms used to look like.
And the blue is almost kind of reminds me of the golf bags from the tournament in Kiowa. There's just kind of a really unusual bluish.
See, if they were, I don't necessarily think it's like if there was no story behind it, it wouldn't be great. But since it's their throwback uniforms and they're making a cooler version of that, I'm all in.
I agree.
Like I really enjoyed where are these Maryland ones?
So under Muschamp, I was thinking about this yesterday. We never saw black jerseys, black pants, garnet helmets, did we?
I don't know, man.
Do y'all remember that one? Does anybody remember that? Because that is an old school Carolina. We saw garnet, black, but I don't think we. James, that was a fake. That was a fake. They actually put out their 9/11 uniforms yesterday. It's a white. It's all white. It's not the little red overalls. That was just a fake thing that they've been doing. They put out.
That sucks. I also like the powder blues at Ole Miss a lot. That's a great looking uniform. Did you see the Navy ones, the Marine Corps inspired uniforms that Navy's rocking this year? They look sweet.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, those Wounded Warrior ones were awesome, except you couldn't see the numbers. That's a big thing with uniforms.
And yeah, everyone's kind of looks the same.
Right.
Yeah, Bill, I've been trying to find who else has never really done alternates. And I think basically Penn State putting names on the jerseys in the Bill O'Brien year was the craziest.
Yep, they did that. I remember that. I think alternates. I mean, I could be wrong, but it feels like UCLA, Southern Cal, Penn State, and Alabama would be the four that I'd say have never done an alternate.
Yeah, Southern Cal. That's a very classic looking.
UCLA as well. I could be wrong, but I'm just thinking.
Well, UCLA's got 3. They've got those blacks as well.
Oh, they got black uniforms?
Yeah, and they're sharp.
I haven't seen those.
Yeah, they've won. I do remember that now that I'm looking at it.
Stanford, good call.
Stanford is super classic. Yep. That's the.
Keep coming. Tilt down.
There we go.
Down.
Yeah, I can look that up again.
There it is.
Yeah.
UCLA black, all blacks.
What about Texas? Has Texas done anything? I guess maybe it's Texas. I would imagine they've worn a black jersey.
Texas has worn black, I think. Yeah, for sure.
I think
worn black.
this is a great. I'll leave it for on the air. All right, gas bag. We'll do it on the air here in a second.
Yeah, I can't find a picture of Southern Cal wearing anything but red or white. And there's nothing to their jersey, which I like. Just one little line on the sleeves.
Jen, let's do Uncle Rico comment. I believe that's number 4 again, please. Right off the top.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll probably do, what is it, number 1, that other one about him. Probably do that too. No, number 2. Nope. 3. But 4 off the top. We'll probably get to 3 here in a minute.
Okay.
I know what the narrative may be out there, so let's forget about and lose the narrative of he hasn't played a football game in 2 or 3 years, and he was walking up and down the halls like Uncle Rico talking about what he did back in the day as a quarterback. He played quarterback a couple months ago. He's been 3 months ago. He's been a graduate assistant coach since June. So like I told you guys, when we activated him to our roster, he's played in a college football game a hell of a lot more recently than anyone on our team. Is it a little bit unique? Yes, but it wasn't, like I said, that he played ago. He played a few months ago. He's been a coach for basically 2 months as a graduate assistant.
Shane Beamer talking about Zeb Nolan, starter for game number 1. Sky is falling. Not a big deal. Hey, man, North Dakota State's quarterbacks have been pretty good. I mean, you might fall into one of those 3 camps as we start our number 3. Justice just hit me up on Twitter at TimHill1075. Reminder, the last 3 quarterbacks from North Dakota State are in the NFL. They don't just take anyone to be a quarterback up there. Patrick, is that
Who are those 3 quarterbacks?
Yeah,
I was going to say,
2.
Everybody knows the 2.
Yep.
Who's the third one?
Carson Wentz and Trey Lance. There was one
Plays for the Chargers.
in between there. Does he play for the Chargers or is he on the Chargers?
He is on the Chargers. I
Bill?
don't know. Actually, I should probably double check if he made the 53 yesterday.
Exactly. Bill, you got nothing for that one either? I don't know that one. And I guess my question, what really pertains to us is not those three. It's, will there be a fourth? Because Zeb Nolan started at quarterback for North Dakota State in the spring for the first 7 games and then got beat out by a freshman. Is that guy
Easton
on
Stick is the name, by the way.
One more time.
Easton Stick.
Yes, I do remember the name only because it reminds me of hockey. Right, they play with Easton sticks.
Yeah.
Yes, but
yes.
He did.
He made the team.
He made the team. All right. How many quarterbacks on that roster besides Justin Herbert? Is it just him?
They
have a third one.
think 3. They have Chase Daniel as well. Chase Daniel will make $5 million a year until he's 60. He's playing black quarterback.
He is definitely on the Charlie Whitehurst plan. Just a genius in the NFL at making money. Anthony Wright was kind of on that plan back in the day from the Gamecock perspective as well. So I do not begrudge those guys. Good for them and as backups in the NFL. My point, though, is that if North Dakota State's on the path to having a fourth one in the NFL that just beat out Zeb Nolan, then you can feel pretty good about it, I think, as a Gamecock fan. If not, then I get not feeling great about it. I also get where Gamecock Will was coming from when he texted us earlier. How am I supposed to get excited about Zeb Nolan being the starting quarterback when the upstate school has 5-star quarterbacks just constantly going right now? Well, the run that Clemson's on is ridiculous, right? Deshaun Watson to Trevor Lawrence is one of the best transitions. Alabama, it's the picture I retweeted it yesterday when they had Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and Mac Jones, now all 3 starting quarterbacks in the NFL on the same roster. Clemson fans wanted to point out the 44-16 whipping they gave them at that point as well. I get it. I think that's all too much analysis, maybe, Bill, for just game number 1, where Gamecock football is a massive favorite against Eastern Illinois on Saturday night. This is what Shane Beamer needs to start his era off correctly or in the right way, is a celebration of Gamecock football, where the quarterback is not making mistakes and the team is physically dominant over a bad FCS program, and you basically can do whatever you want to against them. That's what Gamecock fans, I think, want to see. The only way you're going to feel really good about what happens on Saturday night, because it's a 40-plus point spread against a program that's only won 1 game each of the last couple of years in the FCS, and knowing that the Gamecocks still are predicted to go 3.5 wins over under for the season. From a Vegas perspective, it's a tricky situation in so many ways.
All right, let me backtrack here for a few minutes. You guys were talking about the North Dakota State situation. As you were talking about that, I was confirming what I heard yesterday and not just blurting something out that I saw on Twitter. 2 quarterbacks from Oconee High School in Georgia will start this weekend. One is Zeb Nolan. Can you name the other?
Is it? No, I can't.
One more time. South Georgia, Oconee County. Same high school? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Same high school. The guy who took over for Zeb Nolan when he left. Big recruit.
Jacob Eason.
He is at Ace. No. College. No, Jacob Eason was from Washington.
Gotcha.
No, college. It is a program that we mentioned yesterday.
Okay, so one of the 14 SEC programs then, I'm guessing?
I do know. I think I do know.
Let's hear it.
I think it's LSU, right?
That is correct. Max Johnson.
Okay, there you go.
Max. So so you got that. So I saw a couple of tweets pop out. I wanted to confirm that Oconee County in Watkinsville, Georgia is Max Johnson apparently was originally from California, which is why I wanted to confirm that. But I guess he finished his playing career, his high school career at Oconee County High School. I believe playing for Zeb Nolan's dad. I believe that is correct.
I just did some research on North Dakota State. The kid that beat out Zeb Nolan last year, Cam Miller, the freshman, is not the starting quarterback at North Dakota State anymore. It is now Virginia Tech transfer Quincy Patterson, who was an Elite 11 guy who was a 4-star recruit. I don't know who the starter is at Virginia Tech this year. Is it Braxton Burmeister?
Yes. Yeah, they were talking about him last night on television.
So he beat out Quincy Patterson, and Quincy Patterson transferred to North Dakota State and is now taken over for Cam Miller, who was the freshman that played 8 games last year. I got his stats right here. He only attempted 59 passes, so Zeb Nolan actually attempted more passes than him. He must have been a running guy. So yeah, guy that beat out Zeb's not even a starter in North Dakota anymore.
So let's go on to my point number 2 that I think Patrick will semi-agree with. Patrick has made his stance known. He's not going to the game Saturday night. He wants to have the multiple television set up, be able to watch Clemson, Georgia, LSU, UCLA comes on, I think, at 8 or 8:30. Again, he wants to do that. The ideal scenario, right? The ideal scenario is that by the first or second drive of the third quarter, South Carolina has this thing comfortably in hand, 38-0, somewhere in that ballpark. They're up more than 30 points. You're not worried about it. Where you've celebrated all day, you've tailgated, you've enjoyed being back at the stadium with your friends, with everybody around you. You've seen the two quarterbacks. You've seen Marshawn Lloyd. Just for funsies, I'm going to see if I can get it right. You've seen Jordan Strawn. Jordan Strawn, right?
Didn't go Jason this time. Congratulations.
Yep. Well, because you helped me, now I know exactly how to say it. It's not Jason Statham. It's Jordan Strawn. But you've seen him. You've seen all the newcomers you want to see, and you're kind of exiting the ballpark at the midway through the third quarter to get back to the tailgate to flip on at that point about midway through the second quarter of the Clemson game, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm with you. This seems awfully personal.
That's the perfect night.
Okay. The dream scenario is that by the time LSU and UCLA kick off at 8:30, the two TV setup can switch from South Carolina and Clemson to Clemson and LSU.
And then you're pulling for Georgia. That's your dream Saturday night scenario,
Not
right?
me. I picked Georgia to lose that game, so I'm just pulling for myself to be right.
I'm assuming we'll have a pick 'em on Friday.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So I'm just saying, when you talk about like going out and seeing things that'll happen on Saturday night and what you're wanting, and again, because to me, and I could be wrong, boy, if we're all wrong on this one, Labor Day will not get off to a good start, right? We're doing a Labor Day show. We'll be here to if you have to go to work that day, we'll all be here to take phone calls and do therapy. But if we have to do therapy on Monday morning, it's going to be a long fall.
Yeah. Putting it mildly. With a 40-point spread.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, it's so this is a relaxing game. This is one, I'll take both my kids to, and we're going to hang out and we're going to watch and hopefully, you give them the good vibes, the good experience. My son was asking me, he's like, "Oh, Dad, I'm 9 this year. This year I can go to the Carolina Clemson game." I was like, "I don't know if I want to subject you to that just yet. Maybe a few more years. Maybe hold off of that." But this is the one you go, and it's good to be back in the stadium again. You get out and you throw the football around with the kids at the tailgate, play a little cornhole. This is the relaxing game where you don't have to, where the tailgate conversation is not centered around like, all right, what do we got to do to win tonight? It's like, oh, I'm kind of interested to see this guy. I'm interested to see that guy tonight. It'll be fun to be back.
Let's be honest, Bill. You're just going to be the guy with the cane, sitting there with the recliner, just kind of pointing to, hey, Austin, go fetch me some food. Go throw this plate away.
I don't do that. I'm
just because
part
you're
of the
gimpy.
reason I am the way I am is because I decided to play golf last week, and it set me back probably a few days. So no, and I'm already being trying. So I got someone trying to convince me to play golf on Friday this week, which I'm pretty sure will not be the step in the right direction of continuing to heal. Which I'll probably fall more to play golf.
Man, the text coming in, I can tell football season is back. I think some of you have lost your mind. Barry, having lived in multiple states across the country, and in doing so, I've been around many different college football fan bases. I've never seen or been around a fan base that goes out of its way to be miserable and uninspired as much as Gamecock fans. They are the proverbial Eeyore of college fan bases. Barry, I'm interested in what kind of time span you've been around Gamecock football fan bases, because I think the reputation was the exact opposite for many, many years. Maybe in this post-Spurrier era, if that's the only exposure you've had to Gamecock football, maybe I can understand that. Justin hits us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line at 803-404-6100. You never leave before the game is over. Horrible suggestion.
I disagree with it.
I'm going to move up into the upper part of the zone to watch the I can't say I'll leave. I know not everybody can sit there. I would imagine the bandwidth is small.
Carolina.
There is an element of me. I'm not anti-Patrick on this. Watching great college football games, and this one is supposed to be one of the better ones, if not the best ones this season. It's hard to say, like, I mean, if Southwell's playing a relevant opponent, I would suggest it. Again, this is, I was going through it last night.
I was
going through it with somebody last night. This is
conceivably
the worst opponent that I can remember Southwell playing. 2-17, 16 going into the season. 17
games. Eastern Illinois. It's a.
I get that. I've
seen it happen. I've seen Appalachian State and the Citadel. Yeah, but Citadel was a really good FCS team, and App State was not a bad football team either. This is a little bit different opponent, Tim. You would agree?
Oh, no doubt about it. And we heard the same conversation when Charleston Southern came to town a couple of years ago. It's a very similar opponent in my mind to that. We will see how it goes. I was really interested in hearing Shane Beamer talk about Eastern Illinois yesterday at his weekly press conference and how he needed to put them into the perspective of being the opponent and respecting them and the whole deal, and at the same time knowing that Gamecock fans weren't going to allow him to Lou Holtz Eastern Illinois to too much of a degree. I thought he did a pretty good job of that. You got to sound like a head coach, especially during game week, and I think he did that. To me, the news of Zeb Nolan and the expectation, I guess, from his perspective was interesting as well. Wanted to let you hear a little bit of that as we roll into our first break here in hour number 3. Shane Beamer from yesterday's weekly press conference on Zeb Nolan being the starting quarterback for the Gamecocks going into Saturday night's season opener against Eastern Illinois, that is. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
We named Zeb Nolan our starting quarterback for this week. He's a guy, obviously, he has Power 5 experience. It wasn't that long ago. He played in a playoff game a few months ago. He is very efficient, getting us in and out of the huddle, commanding the offense, controlling what's going on out there. He has a great understanding of what we're doing offensively because he spent the entire summer, as I know he told you guys, drawing up the playbook and coaching. So we've got a lot of confidence in Zeb being able to go out there and operate at a high level on Saturday night. We're not asking him to go win the football game. We'll never ask our quarterbacks to do that. We want to ask him to get us in and out of the huddle cleanly and efficiently without pre-snap penalties. Let's hand the ball to our running backs. Let's get the ball to our playmakers on offense at wide receiver, tight end, and running back. Offensive line, let's do a great job of running the football and protecting the quarterback, and let's go play. So we're not asking Zeb to go win the game on Saturday night. We're asking him to operate the offense efficiently, and we feel like he does the best job of that right now from an offensive standpoint.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach. All right, Patty, back up.
Guys, right now, if you're in the market, or I should say if you're around your house and you need some help cleaning your house, I recommend you get Zero Res, carpet and air duct cleaning out there. Zero Res done a great job cleaning my carpets, cleaning an area rug for me. They've also freshened up the tiles in the kitchen and the bathroom. But what Zero Res does differently than anybody else is their patented powered water system. They actually got it patented as their ZR water now for Zero Res. No harsh chemicals involved in that process. That's especially important to me with my 3 boys at the house, including the 17-month-old almost now, always running around on the carpets and picking up things and testing them out and the whole deal. And that's certainly where we are in our life. And also, if you just want really, really clean carpets, Zero Res has done that for me as well. No leftover soapy residue to attract dirt back into the carpet. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Yours can as well. Zero Res has a great deal for you as well right now. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119 plus a free hallway. When you mention me, Tim Hill. 803-262-4020 is the number for Zero Res. You can book your appointment right now, or you can do it online at ZeroResColumbia.com. You can also find out all the information about how Zero Res is different with their carpet and air duct cleaning. ZeroResColumbia.com. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
All righty. All right, reminder, 8 o'clock, set your count. Probably a little bit closer to 8:03, 8:04. We'll let Shane Beamer's call-in show wrap up, and then we'll jump on the old live stream tomorrow night to watch a couple different games. We'll be watching when is the Boise State game? I think that's at 7. Rutgers and Temple starts at 6. You can break down that intense Rutgers-Temple game.
Yeah. Jim, that makes sense. I just screwed it up earlier. I did Beaufort Lending at 7:10. Nope. Good. Jen, can you hear me? We should be good during this break. I just screwed it up earlier. You good?
Yep, and I just responded like, you know what? I did see the graphic on that, so sorry.
No, it's my fault. Nothing like getting called a racist on the old text line.
Yeah, but man, read that guy's. I don't know if that's a real person or I can't. This is where I'm
That's
naive
Vern.
and don't believe that's a real person.
I think that's Vern. Because there was also a text mess or a voicemail left about the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actually, I'll check the numbers here. That's easy enough, right? Different numbers. Text message was the voicemail was at 7:30 and the text was at 8:07. Oh, there's two. Woo!
But we don't know what the voice message is.
I can play it, but I can tell you what
Yeah,
it's.
let's hold off on that one.
I'll play it right now.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick.
There you go. It's the same one that it always is. Burner phone from Anthony. Tammy, who is that for?
I think she's been reading she saw all the clips in on the earlier.
And I thought it was the Shane train.
Shane train.
Beamer.
Oh, she keeps it. Coaches come and go. Program stays the same. Yeah, Mark, I saw that video yesterday. I like the Pirates. I hope they do go back to that. The Pirates of the Caribbean. I always did actually kind of like that. Some of the old school stuff.
I don't think Pirates of the Caribbean can be considered old school.
No. Well, I'm just saying, Patrick, you actually don't know what we're talking about. There was a time. Did you see the video yesterday Justin King put out? And it was like the old intro from 2000.
Yeah, I didn't realize I was muted, but I was asking, when did we do that?
Yeah, that was back in 2008. That was the initial, like they would get everybody going, and then they'd play that little Pirates of the Caribbean theme song with a bunch of highlights just from the past and everything.
I like that.
And then
It's a
you
cool
get
soundtrack.
Spurrier coming in. It's time for Carolina football.
It's a pretty iconic soundtrack. You'll always recognize Pirates of the Caribbean music.
I do agree. Who was it who said a minute ago? I'm gonna have to check and see if we can get a Courtney Levitt call in, or a Lou Holtz call in, just to hear the breakdown of this game.
That would be awesome.
Is it Pirates of the Caribbean or Pirates of the
Where
Caribbean?
you're from? I'm not a Caribbean
I
guy.
always say the area is the Caribbean, but for some reason in the movie title I say Caribbean.
Yeah.
But I would never say the Caribbean Sea.
Correct.
So I don't know why that is. It just feels better with the title of the.
I am with you on those pronunciations. I probably should watch the movie at some point.
Oh, they're great.
You never watched the movies? That's actually one that I've gotten into.
Really?
Johnny Depp, I think, is great in those. Like that character
awesome.
is.
I've actually seen part of one, and I'm not a fan of his, but I actually kind of liked it. So it's like I do need to go back and watch them.
I believe that Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow is the richest one person has ever gotten off of a movie character before.
Really?
Ooh, I would bet is it Vin Diesel? Who does all the there's 9 Fast and Furious. Who's the guy who keeps surviving each and every one? Vin Diesel?
It's a large cast. I'm pretty sure Johnny Depp made like $20 million for the last Pirates of the Caribbean.
How much do you think Vin Diesel's made for 9 Fast and Furious?
Enough to keep that head nice and shiny.
I mean, you got to think, if he's made $3 million a movie, he's at 27. Although I guess he wasn't in Tokyo Drift, was he? Or was he in at the very end?
Johnny Depp has made over $300 million from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
So you were way off.
In the last movie, he made $55 million.
What's Vin Diesel's take home from Fast and Furious?
Let's see. His last one, Vin Diesel salary included $20 million up front.
Up front.
He made $47 million off Fast 7 from the back end.
Huh?
All right, we're heading back in.
I didn't think about that yesterday.
And let's do more Beamer here. I'm going to do a quick liner.
Okay.
I'd like to do Beamer number 5 when I'm done with that.
$75 million from Endgame, Trey. That's what I've gotten immediately.
Yep.
As the conversation continues on the live video stream sponsored by Buford Lending about Pirates of the Caribbean or the Caribbean, I want to remind you that you got a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets today. The halftime show going to give away 4 free tickets to the Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway. That's this Sunday. Race tickets, camping, premium parking still available. DarlingtonRaceway.com, the place you can go to. That one to also let you hear a little bit more from Shane Beamer yesterday and appreciate the honesty. I know you kind of touched on this and you mentioned it last week, Bill, from
which will be this Thursday night at 7 to 8 yet again. But his emotions, he was asked about where he's going to be, where his mind will be headed into game number 1, Saturday night, 7 o'clock against Eastern Illinois.
I'd love to sit up here and give you coach speak about how focused I am on the game, and I don't think about all that other stuff, but that's a bunch of crap. I mean, I'm fired up and excited and can't wait. And I talked to the team about it this morning. I mean, one of the things we talked about as a team was controlling your emotions, that Saturday is Saturday night is going to be a big deal for all of us. And there's going to be a lot of excitement and energy and all that stuff. And we got to make sure we don't go in there and we're just so emotional that we go in there and lose our minds and forget about what we have to do to prepare to play. And I told them, I said, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I'm going to be jacked up when we do Gamecock Walk and jacked up when we do when 2001 plays and all that stuff. But you also remember what's important and focusing on the task at hand as well.
Shane Beamer, yesterday's weekly press conference. And Bill, I think another example of how he is
making the transition right in front of our eyes between honeymoon period and head football coach. And what he said about the uniforms yesterday, another example of that. And I feel as he's making that transition right before our eyes, the Gamecock football program is trying to transition into really getting an identity other than, hey, it's a place where former national championship coaches have gone and Steve Spurrier won some games there, and then Will Muschamp flamed out there. I feel like that's exactly where this program is right now. And the fact that you can be a 40-plus point favorite in your season opener and Vegas can still have you at 3.5 for your season win total, is another great description, I think, of the crossroads this thing is at. If it goes well, I think South Carolina, what's stopping them, like Marty Smith said, from being the third best program in the SEC East right now? Kentucky and Missouri and Tennessee, it's not a huge roadblock right now when you look at it from that perspective and knowing what Steve Spurrier did with the program just a decade ago. On the other hand, you look at what's happened the last couple of years with Will Muschamp at 16 combined losses. It ain't going to be easy. And we start the first, we get to see the first step. I know a ton of work has gone into it and the whole thing behind the scenes, but from the outside looking in, we finally get to see the first step on Saturday night. And the excitement is just, palpable, I think, amongst Gamecock fans, even though others from the outside looking in, Clemson fans would like to spoil that at this point and the whole thing. Just the fact that I think we're getting more interaction from those Clemson fans is an example of how they feel it as well to some degree. Where would you put the program right now headed into game number 1, Bill?
As you were talking about that, the only program I can think of relatively close by who has watched the amount of change and the egos and the coaches and the personalities that South Carolina fans have watched over 20 years. And as I'm about to say this, I want all the y'all to kind of weigh in. The similarities, not tradition-wise, not winning-wise, but the last 20 years, the similarities of South Carolina and Tennessee, because as you talk about us watching Shane Beamer become more of a head coach in front of our eyes and how he's handling things, I was thinking about the egos, the legitimate egos of Lou Holtz and then Steve Spurrier that came in, and how they would handle a Tuesday press conference and what they would say. Then you had Will Muschamp, who again just had an ego and just his belief that it would work. And now you get Shane Beamer, and I'm thinking to Tennessee, who had obviously the great run of success under Phil Fulmer, but then goes to Lane Kiffin for a year and the ego that was Lane Kiffin, and then Derek Dooley, and then Butch Jones, and then Jeremy Pruitt, who really is just Will Muschamp light, they're in terms of their backgrounds and everything. It's interesting to hear Shane Beamer and then to kind of go back and just relate it to what you would hear from Holtz and Spurrier and now Muschamp, and to see the evolution. And I think some of it is with technology now, having Twitter, being able to see personalities. Obviously, there's a lot easier ways to access yesterday's press conference where fans can watch it. And you can actually, you go on Gamecocks Online yesterday and you can physically watch it instead of just hearing clips or hearing it played across the radio station as it used to be with Lou Holtz. It's interesting to what you just said about Shane Beamer developing as a head coach and what he is now compared to what he was in January, and then what he'll be after the month of September. Where if you're a Gamecock fan, if you're 2-2 at the end of September, I know that's not necessarily what you want, but you'd be pretty happy with it, right? When you're thrilled with 3-1, you're dejected with 1-3.
No doubt. And that's the thing. We've seen it to varying degrees too, Patrick, over the last several years. I know you came to this thing in a different space, knowing only the Steve Spurrier era to start, and then coming in when Will Muschamp took over. But and you've talked about it a couple of times, just the emotional roller coaster that this fan base, along with many, many others, goes on during the football season is you can use a lot of different adjectives to describe. Huh?
Oh, for sure. I think I'm with you for the vibe right now. It's also so split. It's a roller coaster, but it's also two opposite ends of the spectrum. Like people that genuinely think, yeah, we should be, an 8 or 9 win team this year because there's good vibes around the program, and that means we're going to win 8 or 9 games. And then there's people that are like, yeah, we're headed in the right direction. Things are looking good right now. I like the direction. I like the attitude and all this. But realistically, Vegas has us at a 3.5 win team. We'll probably win 4 games, 5 games, and be lucky to get to a bowl game. Like, there's just a vast array of opinions, and everyone's going to be at a different point. I guess that's just college football. Everyone's going to evaluate this season differently. If we win 6 games and go to a bowl and lose a bowl game or win a bowl game, there's people that will be upset that we didn't go to a New Year's Six bowl. Or if there's just such a wide spectrum when you're a team of South Carolina's caliber right now. It's just no one really knows how to evaluate the season.
Other notes certainly that need to go mentioned from yesterday and kind of flying under the radar of the national story of Zeb Nolan being a grad assistant, now being the starting quarterback. Cam Smith, the talented defensive back from Westwood High School in Blythewood, going to be back and available for game number 1. Kevin Harris, the first 1,000-plus yard back that the Gamecocks had in 8 years last year, or 7 seasons, whatever it was, since Mike Davis, going to be back available for game number 1. Bill, you mentioned the ideal from the overall perspective is that the Gamecocks are up 30-plus points in the third quarter. You can kind of sit back and relax and keep your eye on Georgia and Clemson that night, or LSU and UCLA, whatever you want to do. What about from these specific players? What do you think the ideal scenario is for Cam Smith and Kevin Harris in game 1?
Well, Kevin Harris, I think just so you know, he is a fan. I think just so you know that he's healthy, you'd like to see him get 2 or 3 carries, right? Like just as a fan, just for your own well-being, just for next week, you go, okay, I know we got Kevin Harris, and I know we got Marshawn Lloyd and Quandre White, and whatever they're going to do with Juju McDowell and Rashad Amos, and just so forth and so on. I think.
What do you think, Patrick?
It depends on how many yards those carries net.
Right.
If he comes out for the first drive.
You know what? I don't think it matters. I think Kevin Harris has proven what he can do. I understand what you're saying, but I think the question is, because he was held out of contact for so long, and I still think the scar tissue is there from Will Muschamp saying, "Oh yeah, man, day to day, everybody's healthy," even though he was cleared. I think people just seeing number 20 out there take a snap, and I mean, granted, Patrick, you're right. You don't want 3 carries for like negative 10 yards, but then you're more worried about
3
your
carries for 6 yards. Like if he's just running up the middle, tackled by a couple guys, hits the deck, and they say, "All right, you're done. You've gotten your contact." Like that's one thing. But if you see him go 25 yards on a carry, break away from a couple guys, break a couple tackles, and you say, "Okay, that is prime Kevin Harris. He is in full form right now. We're good to go."
I don't
That's
know.
different.
I think people just, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's a different poll question, different conversation. I think people would just like to see him out there, and then, because to me, a lot of what happened Saturday is what you're basing the following Saturday on. Oh, okay, Kevin Harris got out there and got tackled. He had 7 yards. I don't care. He went out there, and it shows me he can play, and given another week to get ready, he'll be fine. Got it. Zeb Nolan, Jason Brown, you go out and you watch them play. All right, now we know what they are, and it gives me a baseline for what to expect against East Carolina. And so, to answer your question on Kevin Harris real quick, to me, my opinion, you just want to see him get a couple carries just so you know he's healthy. You know that he can play next week against East Carolina when you need him. Cam Smith is a little different. I kind of want to see Cam Smith challenged a little bit over there. I want to see what Cam Smith can do. That one's a tad bit different. You want to see him out there, I think, for an extended period of time and see what he looks like, because Darius Rush might have had a great fall camp and might be coming along very well, but it feels like Marcellus Dial, because you saw him in the spring, showed a little bit to where you might be a little uncertain that he's ready to go as a starter in place of Karan Prunty, who is now gone. But I feel like with Cam Smith, you're going, okay, with Dial and Smith, we feel better about our defensive backfield, but you want to see those guys out there for 25, 30, 35 snaps to make sure there's no breakdowns in coverage, that, you know, the Eastern Illinois offensive coordinator is not recognizing something pre-snap and throwing a bomb down the field, throwing his clipboard in the air, and you're not seeing the breakdowns in coverage that you saw last year from your defensive secondary.
Absolutely should not play Harris on Saturday. Anonymous texter hits us up. Let him fully heal. Brandon, on the other side of the thing, I think Harris needs to get hit just a bit, maybe 5 to 7 carries. I was thinking 8 to 10. I think 8 to 10, no more than that, to show. I think Kevin Harris himself, a guy who hasn't been through contact, that you can take hits, that you can get in a small rhythm in the game, a bit of a rhythm. You can get kind of fully involved, and then you don't risk anything more than that. And you're going to have plenty of options. And you want to get those other guys some carries, by the way. Remember, Marshawn Lloyd, I feel like we've been talking about him forever. I guess that's what happens when you hurdle a guy in high school and you're the number 1 play on SportsCenter. But he hadn't taken a carry for Carolina. He hadn't played a snap, along with all the quarterbacks that are going to play in this game. No snaps. So there are a lot of things, I feel like, and Shane Bieber going into game number 1 as a head coach feel like has to manage a lot here. And this might be when it's a good thing that you're not a coordinator. You're not looking at it from an offensive coordinator or a former defensive coordinator's perspective, that you really do have the zoomed out luxury of looking at it from the head coach's perspective and making sure that you kind of check what you want to check on a checklist of a long checklist, I would say, going into this thing. That, of course, number one is winning the game and doing it convincingly. And to do that, you got to dominate the line of scrimmages against the lines of scrimmage, I should say, against an inferior opponent. Jay from the Interstate asked, how good is the offensive line going to be in pass blocking? Not hearing much about them. You're not hearing much about them because if you do not dominate Eastern Illinois, it is going to be a long, long year. And I don't think you get to pass blocking or run blocking either. You got to be dominant against an inferior opponent. And I think we're probably taking that for granted going into this game, just knowing the offensive line's experience and the talent they have coming back. To me, it'll be much more interesting to see what they do in week number 2 against a better opponent that still should be subpar to South Carolina in East, especially doing that on the road, Bill.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and I think it'll be very interesting to see. There's so many things you're talking about. Marshawn Lloyd, I was thinking, he committed on Memorial Day of 2019, and I feel like Juju McDowell's gotten just as much hype. People are just as excited to see him as Marshawn Lloyd. He's already been surpassed on the. I don't know. Maybe that's tomorrow's poll question. Like, who are you most? What player are you just most interested to watch? Is it Nolan, or is it a combination of Nolan Brown? Is it Marshawn Lloyd? Is it Juju McDowell? Is it?
I know some people would say EJ Jenkins at 6'7" out wide, having never played for Carolina either. Maybe it's Brown, the backup quarterback.
Maybe you go a different.
You want to see the freshman quarterback?
Maybe you go a different direction. You don't say player. What is one single thing? And in there you throw in, because I am interested to see this, Shane Beamer's sideline demeanor.
Right.
I'm kind of interested to see.
And how players respond to that, right? That's a big part of it to me. Jaheim Bell, Craig mentions there, another name, a guy who's I thought this was interesting yesterday, and we haven't really gotten into the really sports nerd depth chart breakdowns, but they put 2 tight ends on there with the starting offense, and Jaheim Bell as a starter at one spot, and Nick News as a starter at another. And if you do the math, they actually had 12 spots on offense as starters, with 3 wide receivers and 2 tight ends with the running back there. An interesting note, I think, and something to keep our eye on for sure. So many things. It's almost like we're at Wednesday during game week of the season opener. It's good to be back. Ooh, Jen, well done. 803-404-6100. If you would like to get in a final word, you can call or text. Dramatic conclusion of the show as we inch closer to Saturday. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
Weather changing. It's actually supposed to be like 85 on Saturday. The game time temperature is going to be kind of mid to high 70s. It's going to get down into the 60s there by the end of the game, likely the high 60s. It's going to be great weather. So now is the time. Maybe you're not thinking about your air conditioner or your heating unit for a few more hot days in the summer or the upcoming winter, but you should be. You need to think ahead. Go ahead and call AAA Heating and Air, 803-677. 803-677-1500 is how you can get in touch with them. Get someone out there to inspect your heating and air unit today. Be prepared is the key phrase here. Just like South Carolina and Clemson have to be prepared for the upcoming game, you need to be prepared for the upcoming weather elements that are in front of us. Whether it's another hot day or another cold winter, you want that heating and air unit to be working properly. Call Roy and Dana Finley today, 803-677-1500. They will come out. They'll do an inspection, not just on your heating and air unit, but they'll also inspect your house, make sure that you got everything working properly. They've done it for me. It's about time for me to get them back out here again to make sure I'm prepared for the winter. I need to give them a call, and you definitely want to give them a call, 803-677-1500. 677-1500. If you need your heating and air unit replaced, they'll offer you a $1,500 rebate to buy back your old unit. They'll work with you on a 0% financing, no money down type deal. And then the best part, because once you get that new unit in, you want to make sure it works. They'll offer you a 15-year guaranteed parts and labor warranty. You can't beat it, and you need to make sure your heating and air unit is ready to handle the elements, whether it's a few more hot days in September or cold that is coming up in the winter. Be prepared. Don't mess around. Call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on that, RL. I hear what you're saying. And Mark, I think you're exactly right. I think you hope you don't have to have a typical mindset in this game that you would, or I would argue the 11 others. This one kind of stands alone.
Jeez. In 2016, Notre Dame had 5 defensive linemen in their recruiting class, and all 5 of them made 53-man roster yesterday. That's wild.
One more time, Patrick.
Notre Dame signed 5 defensive linemen in the class of 2016, and all 5 of them made NFL rosters yesterday.
Wrong.
100%.
That's not as good as 3 starting quarterbacks in the NFL from Alabama.
Yeah.
It's true. And that doesn't 2 of them, is it Tua and Mac Jones play each other in week 1, don't they?
Yep.
Is it good evaluation? Is it good development, Mark? It's a combination of both, right? But I think I'd go development more. Oh, what do you think, Bill? Is it a match? That would make sense to be soft-spoken.
No, it's not. It's not.
Oh, bummer.
No, the phone numbers, I mean, I guess could technically call for a different phone number. Yeah, Patrick's mustache and the hair going today with the mustache is a strong. He's brought the A game on Wednesday, no doubt.
Kind of got the magic Mike thing going.
I tell you, we can't see it, but the clouds, it's just too bright, and that's going to cause it to. The dark clouds behind me with the sun.
Oh,
the sun came up behind me. So I was just thinking about, but yeah, Patrick's mustache and hair game today is absolutely on fire. I feel like you're setting your. I feel like you're while you've got a different. I feel like you are moving toward more of a police officer type role.
Well, I was gonna say I'm seeing a little Starsky and Hutch thing going here.
I feel like he is ready to audition for Super Troopers 3.
Did you see Super Troopers 2?
No, I just know that there's a Super Troopers 2.
I tried to watch it. I think fell asleep. Didn't quite take.
If Patrick came up to your car right now and oh gosh, why it's been so long? What was the meow? What was the meow game?
Yeah, you just put.
You got an over under. Well, you got to get 7 meows in.
If Patrick showed up to your car window and doing the meow game, I mean, you would believe he's a police officer or a stunt double from Super Troopers.
We're about to head back in.
Let's go with number 1 here, Jen. Straight in. Actually, I'll do a quick liner first.
And you said number 1?
Numero uno. But I'll do a liner first.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Love to send you to Miami and then Grand Bahama Island on a 5-day adventure for free. Just text the national keyword captain to 64636. The number is 64636. The word Captain, CAPTAIN. That gives you a chance to hop aboard Chris Jericho's Rockin' Wrestler Ranger at Sea. 5-day adventure to Grand Bahama Island filled with live band performances, AEW wrestling, comedy, autograph sessions, live podcasts, and more. Again, that word, the national keyword Captain, to 64636 is where you can have the chance to win. Right now, I wanted to let you hear a little bit more from Shane Beamer yesterday's press conference. Quite the irony to open up his head coaching career against Eastern Illinois.
Fired up about playing Eastern Illinois this weekend. It's funny, my dad's very last game as the head coach at Murray State University. I was in 4th grade, and it was against Eastern Illinois at Eastern Illinois, what was then the 1AA.
But now called
FCS playoffs. Murray State Racers went up to
Eastern Illinois.
Lost to them in a playoff game, quarterback by Sean Payton,
Our
current head coach for the New Orleans Saints. So pretty
ironic that
his last game before he took the head coaching job at Virginia Tech was against Eastern Illinois, and my first game as the head coach was against
Eastern Illinois here in South Carolina.
7 o'clock Saturday night.
It's when it's going to go down. Game week is here, and the excitement is here along with it. How about that? Those names are ridiculous, right? At Eastern Illinois, Sean Payton, Tony Romo, and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yep.
And especially knowing where the program is now, it's hard to believe they've had those names run through the program, and especially if you look at maybe the Gamecock quarterback situation over those last several decades, not having a single quarterback drafted since Todd Ellis back in 1989. Pretty crazy, huh, Patrick?
Mike Shanahan as well, Eastern Illinois Panther.
Wow.
Yeah.
To have those names, those individual names, and then not to have the team success, and to know where this team is coming off the Indiana State loss last weekend, and then the one combined, I guess the one win last season, a win before that. What'd you say, Bill? 2-16, 2-17, something like that in their last 19.
1-11 in 2019 and 1-5 last year, and 0-1 this year. I believe they had a winning record though in 2018. I'll go back and look, confirm, but I believe 2018 they did have a winning record.
So, kind of to sum up today's program, Patrick, if you have to use one word to describe Zeb Nolan as the Gamecock starting quarterback for game number 1, what's the one word you come up with?
Unfortunate.
Interesting. Bill, what about you?
I make a sound. I'm like, Oh, okay. All right. I guess that's what it is.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. It's yeah. I was gonna say, like, I guess maybe not a sound. Maybe just go. Okay. To me, it's an interesting storyline. I think it makes it more entertaining to go to the game to see him. I would have loved to see Luke Doty in this game, but I thought it was going to be a vanilla offense to begin with Luke Doty, that they weren't going to show much. So in a way, this to me maybe makes it a little bit more exciting just to go see this storyline that is Zeb Nolan and go see Jason Brown play some and to be able to kind of get at least somewhat of a feel for what you've got in the background. But I guess my one-word answer would be, okay.
I think it was perfect that you started with a sound effect when I asked you for one word and then went into a gas baggy hot take.
On the word? Anybody.
To me, the word's fascinating. And I think it describes where Gamecock football is in general. Because crossroads times 100 is where I feel like the Shane Beamer era is for this football program. Because, Bill, as I referenced multiple times during the Will Muschamp era for those large critics to start with, right? That Carolina could have done worse at the time. I mean, look at what Rich Rodriguez and Tom Herman, couple other names out there at the time. It didn't work out well for them where they ended up. And also mentioned Arkansas, their long losing streak with Chad Morris, where Florida had gotten to before Dan Mullen kind of came and revived the program, where Missouri, they fired their head coach after 2 years in Barry Odom, that there was a place South Carolina could have dropped to that was below where Will Muschamp had them for several of those 5 years. Right now, it's Vandy below Carolina, and that's it in the SEC East and in the SEC overall. But Shane Beamer has the opportunity to work Carolina back into the mix pretty quickly here in 2021 if certain breaks go his way if certain guys step up in certain positions, if certain coaching decisions are made. But there are a lot of ifs. There are a lot of question marks as we sit here three days before game time. And that is the brilliance of college football every single year in Columbia, South Carolina, I think.
Yeah, I guess bottom line is next year, as long as he starts a scholarship quarterback, and you're like, hey, Shane Beamer starting year 2 with a scholarship quarterback. That's an improvement, right?
Depends how it goes. You never know. It's all also part of the great story. I saw someone mentioning Kurt Warner along with Zeb Nolan, hoping it'll be that kind of story and the whole thing. Well, that's the thing. Like, Zeb Nolan started as a Big 12 quarterback. He started higher in his career coming out of high school than a guy like Kurt Warner, who went on to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Enjoyed all the interaction today. Thanks for taking part of the program, however you did it, via the Love Chevy phone lines, Cool Care Heating and Air text line, or on the live video stream sponsored by Buford Lending. This has been the Early Game on 107.5.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach.
All right, guys, that'll wrap it up. Anthony, thanks. Appreciate everybody weighing in this morning. We'll do it again tomorrow morning and then tomorrow at 8 p.m. too.
That's right.
Bill's opening up the 107.5 The Bar on the live video stream only, 8 p.m. Again, send me an email if you want to get in on that video portion of it. Tim at 1075thegame.com. We'll make it happen.
It's true. If it's nice, we might move the TV outside. It might be cigar and bourbon if we have the lighting. If I can pull off everything and watch a couple of the openers.
Nice.
That would be
Go get some
fantastic.
sleep, man.
No, it's a big day. My brother just got back yesterday. I don't know what the plan is, but
oh boy, look out!
Nice.
Party at the Pirouettes.
We got Perry Orth tomorrow at 7:30 as well. So we'll might actually have some football knowledge. Let's see. Carlos, you have a good day as well, sir. See you guys.
Take care.